Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, by Matt.
Hey, up, and away.
And you might, if you're on the video version, you might notice that the other box is empty this week. Connor is not here. He had family visiting this weekend, and he couldn't get out of it, the poor bugger. So he has not here. He did promise that he would send his top 5 of the week and all his favourites. He has not sent his top 5 of the week and all his favourites.
I am in no way surprised.
I know he's a, and he'd read all his books. He actually had read all his books this time before we recorded. Because sometimes if he's not on the show, he'll leave it till later and he'll just kind of waffle around and get to them when he gets to them. But oh well, here we are. So what's coming up on this week's show? We have obviously the books of the week, the reviews that we're going to talk about. We have Detective Comics 961, Action Comics 984, Wonder Woman number 27, The Flash number 27, Batgirl number 13, Teen Titans number 10, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 25, Batman Beyond number 10, Batman the Shadow number 4, and that was the last one, and I was not ready for it to be the last one, so I never said "and" to end my list, but that was the last one. So there you go, that's the books that are coming out this week. We do have some news to talk about first. One comics thing. We are going to talk a little bit about some movie news, because obviously the Flashpoint news broke live during the show last week. I want to have a few more thoughts on that. There's a couple of other things, and then there's the mustache gate. We're going to get to that because that's the thing. So we're going to do that before we get to the books. Obviously, if you don't care about the movie stuff, you want to skip it. There's timestamps to skip to the first book review should you wish to. Also, there's another thing I want to talk about as well, but I'm going to put this at the end of the show. There's a really cool theory going around about who Mr. Oz might be in the comics right now, and in case you want to go in cold and you don't want some good speculation, in case this turns out to be correct. We'll put that at the end of the show, barring the outro, which is just the goodbyes and stuff. You can just turn the podcast off before that little bit, and you don't have to worry about it. So nice and easy. Before we get to all that, though, I do have a couple of announcements to make. Both Patreon related. One of which is the next vote. If you remember the last week 5 we had, obviously sometimes comics have this 5th week because they always schedule for 4 weeks, and there's always this we end up with months with the 5th week. We get a couple of annuals, but it's usually a pretty quiet week for books. So we let our patrons vote for a trade paperback or a graphic novel to read and talk about on that episode of the show. So August has got a week 5, so the vote goes up a little bit earlier than other votes do for the other shows. And the reason for that is so that we can let everyone know what the winner is, a few weeks in advance of the show, so that if you guys at home want to get the book, read the book, in that time, you've got the option of doing so with a reasonable amount of time to get a hold of it and whatnot. So the vote for the 5th week in August is the following. There's 4 options, as per usual. Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. That's option number 1. That's a big Elseworlds story. Option number 2 is Dark Knight, a true Batman story, which is a Paul Dini option. Not surprising that Connor picked that, because he picked a Paul Dini story last time as well.
Yep. He's filthy that way. You know exactly which way he's going.
Yeah. We also have Green Arrow Year 1 by Andy Diggle and Jock up for vote. And then finally, Batman Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. Of course, that pick is inspired by the fact that they just announced a sequel to said book. So there's your options. So that's the options. The vote is up there. The deadline for voting on Patreon is Friday the 11th of August. It will be announced the episode that's that weekend after that what the winner is. So that's the $5 tier on Patreon. Now the other announcement related to that is that we're adding a new thing to that tier that is relevant to comics folk. We wanted to give fans of the show who do support us on Patreon something that A was more consistent and B something that maybe appealed to them more as DC fans. So this also ties into the idea that we had some graphic novel announcements recently, and we weren't sure how to fit them into the regular show. So it was going to be hard to like add them into the regular onslaught of books, especially if it's out in a busy week or that kind of thing. So basically, we're going to be doing a bonus episode per month, which will largely be me and Connor. Matt will join in when he has time, but he won't always be able to. And it's basically going to be an extra episode once a month that focuses on a graphic novel or a collection, kind of like the fifth week episodes. But it'll be constant and it'll be one a month. The plan to begin with is to work through the Earth 1 line. So the first one will likely be Superman Earth 1 Volume 1 for August. So that's starting in August, and you'll get one a month, and that'll be going forward. So it's just a purely extra thing. It also gives us a chance to do extra things. I think one of the exciting things about doing this is that, not right away, but there's talk of eventually saying, we can actually do a run of something. Like obviously when we do the fifth week episodes, we have to just pick something, for the vote that's fairly self-contained, so that everything kind of works on its own. Whereas this, we could conceivably say, let's work through Jeff Johns' Green Lantern and do a trade each month and go through the whole thing. We could do that potentially. We're going to stick to self-contained stuff. The reason for that being right now is that we know that Green Lantern Earth 1's coming out next year, and we thought it'd be fun to try and get through most of those in time for that. That said, there will be little breaks in between where we do other things, like that new Batman one coming out in November will probably be something. We might do something more Christmassy for December. So there will be breaks. There'll be, it's not all set in stone, but it'll probably mostly be Earth 1 books for the next few months. So there you go. So new things happening. So that'll be on the Patreon $5 tier if that interests you. Go over and check in that if you want to support the podcast. If not, don't worry, your regular show every week as per usual. And speaking of, let's get into the news. And Matt's been quiet for a very long time. I want to let Matt speak.
No, I got nothing. I'm just waiting for the news.
I know, but it's just you're sitting there a long time not saying anything. I feel bad. I want Matt to.
I'm just letting you get through the announcement because it goes quicker that way than me trying to be funny.
I can't argue with that too much. No, I can't.
No.
All right, okay. So, the comic book part of the news then. We'll get that. But if you want to skip the movie stuff, should you be so inclined? And this is not particularly good comic book news either. I've got a funny feeling I can predict Matt's reaction to the following statement. Superman Year 1 by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. A graphic novel coming, I don't even know if they said next year, but I presume it's next year. But your thoughts, Matt?
Hard pass.
Why is it hard pass?
I don't like the way that Frank Miller uses Superman. I just don't. I've heard that the Dark Knight 3 is a pretty good read. But yeah. I just feel like he doesn't respect the character. I feel like he looks at Superman like a sellout, and I don't like the idea of him writing his Year 1. We have much better origins, and that's all we seem to get. So
yeah, honestly, that's my first thought. Before we get to who's doing it, I'm like, okay, Superman Year 1. Okay, I get why you'd want to have a Year 1 of him because we've got a Year 1 of a lot of other characters. However, Superman has like 5 good origin stories at this point. He's got Birthright, he's got For All Seasons, he's got Secret Origin. If you want to go old school, you've got, Man of Steel from the 80s. Like, he's got a lot of good versions of his origin. Like, they're kind of good. We have plenty of them. And they all have their own merits, and they're all kind of, have their own thing going for them. So, I'm not really sure what the purpose of this is, other than, I guess DC make a lot of money from Frank Miller books, and it was like, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to do a Superman Year 1, and they go, okay, sure. Frank Miller, I'm not particularly fond of how he does Superman either, but even beyond that, I don't think I'm really that thrilled about anything he's written in the last 15, 20 years. Like, his stuff in the 80s, great. Since then, not so much.
He helped create the whole grim and gritty aspect of the 80s. With Daredevil and Batman Year 1. And I think he lends himself better. I mean, that's what all of Sin City is. It's that grim and gritty and darkness to it. So then you take a character that's Superman that requires hope and light and a subtle touch, and that's the complete opposite.
Yeah, but
Of
then you
Nolan.
remember, like, even if you can't even rate Batman anymore, though. Like, All-Star Batman and Robin is.
Uh,
I mean, I'm saying that not having read Dark Knight 3 Master Race, but
yeah,
I, I mean, I had no interest in checking that out. I still don't.
yeah, me neither.
And that's because of All-Star Batman and Robin and kind of what he's been like. And then on top of that, John Romita Jr. on art, who I've never really liked either. I mean, oh.
Yeah, yeah. His John's stuff was rough, as it was. When he was working with him on Superman in the New 52.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, I don't think DC have ever announced something that I've so quickly been able to say, nope, I'm good. I will be fine without that in my life. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Whether we end up doing that in the graphic novel bonus on Patreon at some point, just for the train wreck quality that it might have, I do not know. But certainly right now, I have no interest in reading Superman Year 1. So sorry to start the show on a downer, but this does not sound very
It is what
good.
it is. I mean, it's got two names against it, so even if it wasn't Superman, I wouldn't be checking it out. So it's not even just that. Then you put him on my favorite character, and it's a double. Like, hard pass.
Yeah. Ugh. This is kind of the noise that I would use to describe this announcement.
Yeah.
Alright, so obviously there was a lot of movie news coming out from Comic-Con. We had the Flashpoint thing. That happened live during the show. We kind of caught that as we were recording. That the Flash movie is now Flashpoint, and we kind of talked a little bit about how that maybe they can fix things with that. Maybe they've got ideas about what to do. Just a couple more thoughts on that. Now that I've had some time to, process it a little bit. I will say I don't really like the idea that the first Flash movie we ever get is Flashpoint. That's really weird.
Yeah, but if it's to fix all the problems that they have, they put Zack Snyder in charge of everything, I'm okay with it.
Absolutely, don't get me wrong. Like that side of it, great. There was also reports this week that Zack Snyder looks like he'll be taking a back seat or close to not even being involved in the DC movies going forward, which honestly, thrilled. So that's good news. Obviously, the way he departed Justice League is not good news. That was really sad and tragic. But certainly before that, my opinion was that I want him nowhere near these movies, and it felt like they were already sort of setting up the idea that he might be gone after Justice League. So speaking of Justice League, we did get a new trailer for it, and I will say I did think it was better than the first trailer.
Hey, how about that Aquaman shot?
Oh, that Aquaman shot was terrible. Some of the effects right now are looking quite rough. That was a really bad green screen shot of him like going through the building and then coming out of it. It just looked really sketchy.
I do like what I see of his characterization in this. That we get a little bit more of him, and he seems kind of like a smartass, which I think you need to define him. Like you have the Barry Allen version, who's he's Spider-Man-esque, I would say. Like he's quippy, but Aquaman seems much more like I don't want to make him a comic relief, but his reactions to things I think are going to be good.
I feel like they're really gearing him up to be the Thor of this universe. It really feels like they're setting that up. And then you've got Flash, who's feeling like he's more the Spider-Man character, kind of as you said. That joke at the end of the trailer was actually kind of funny, where Batman and the rest of the league all do the vanishing act thing, and Flash, even though he has super speed, is the one left standing there. That's actually kind of a funny joke. But yeah, his suit still looks terrible though. I will say that.
Yeah,
I hate that suit.
It looks like
passion.
a reject Power Ranger costume.
It does.
In the new movie.
It does. It looks like one of the designs they had for that movie and they threw out in the early days. Like, no, that's terrible. Why are you giving me that?
And J.K. Simmons as Gordon. I think that's really good. As much as I love Oldman, I like this. Not that it's a new take, but it makes Gordon like grizzled almost. And at this point, he should be, for following a Batman that has killed people numerous times. Like, imagine the stress that puts on your life as a commissioner of police. So, I think Simmons is perfect for that.
Yeah, he seems good. I mean, I had no doubts though. I mean, he was the one good part of Terminator Genesis, so I mean, J.K. Simmons will shine through any shit fest.
True.
I thought Wonder Woman had a pretty cool entrance into, I think it's a bank scene, and she sort of, explodes through the door, and that's kind of fun. I mean, yeah, I still don't like how the movie looks visually. It still looks like a Zack Snyder movie, which I don't like. But so the trailer is better than the first trailer. There's still things I'm concerned about, obviously. The big thing in the trailer that I want to talk about is you actually Steppenwolf, who's the villain for this, which I guess they're not ready for Darkseid. They're building to Darkseid for later, I guess.
I know that they don't want the allegations that they're copying Marvel, but like, how great? So you're gonna bury the lead on Superman, right? He's not there, but we all know he's gonna be there.
And more on how he's going to be there in a minute, but
yeah. So like, you have Darkseid just trouncing him, and you can get that cool heroic return of Superman, right? And instead, now we're going with Steppenwolf, who, even as a longtime DC reader, I don't know that much about, because you don't use him that much. Like, if you're going to use a disciple of Darkseid, why not, like, Calabac, who's got a cool look to him? It's weird to me as a comics fan.
It is a little bit strange. My only assumption, and there's a cat you don't see very often on screen for the video viewers. His name's Garrus. But he, like, my take on this is that, okay, maybe this is the intention that they're building to Darkseid. Like, it's like this is the weird test before the onslaught, and I'm not completely opposed to that, partly because, like, now Johns came into, like, he got this promotion to, like, start working with the movies and all that, and be this guy who dealt with all this. He got that promotion just as Justice League was kind of in production, right? And I feel like we'll feel some of the effects of him tinkering with things in this movie. Maybe more than we thought originally, because we're getting all these reports that the reshoots are going on way longer than everyone thought they would.
They're spending as much as a smaller movie gets for production.
And I wonder, like, it makes me wonder if, like, because one of the most fascinating parts of when they brought in Joss Whedon and they announced that he was not only directing the reshoots, he was already writing all these reshoots. Even before he was going to do the directing of them, he was already hired to write them. And that says to me that, okay, they wanted to fix certain things, and they know Joss Whedon can do an ensemble, he can write all this. And given how much time they're spending on reshoots, it's starting to make me think that everything but the action scenes might be redone.
Yeah, I'm not adverse to, because as much as I don't like Zack Snyder action scenes, you put them by themselves and they almost feel special,
Well, this is the thing. Like, if everything around it builds the characters better, as much as I'll still not like how the action scenes look, at least the emotion will be there because I'll care about what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to say this because I'm kind of giving myself some false hope that I'm actually going to like this movie. And as much as this trailer was better and there was things in it that I liked a bit more, and obviously no matter what we do, it's still going to look like a Snyder movie. We're still going to have this weird thing where Superman's not there for most of it, and we can't really do anything about that now. I feel like John's came into it, he's like, right, I can't fix that because they're already, like, so far along. They've already done the last movie. I have to just work with what they've given me, right? I feel like that's the situation right now.
Yeah, it's like parents coming home and the outside of the house looks fine, and then they walk in and the kids just trashed everything. Like, there's a massive hole in the wall. There's just, bottles and cans everywhere. And going, well, we can clean this up, but it's going to take time. Yeah. And I feel that's John's, because I felt his fingerprints on Wonder Woman, because he came into that late too. But there were some reshoots we'd heard about that too. So, and that ended up being, our at least most favorable of these DC movies. So I had a friend just accuse me of not ever being happy with anything Warner Brothers is going to do going forward. But I was like, can you blame me from, most of Man of Steel to Batman vs Superman to Suicide Squad? Like, they haven't earned it at all.
To be fair, you did just say you were happy with Wonder Woman, so it's not entirely.
Well, that was my point to him, was like, well, no, you give me a good movie, and, like, I'm not. He got upset because I wasn't instantly excited for the Justice League trailer. He's like, yeah, but it's the first time the Justice League.
I'll say
this.
At this point in time, I am way more optimistic about this Justice League movie than I have been since before Batman v Superman. That is legitimately how I feel right now.
Now, do you think if Snyder didn't have that tragedy, they still would have brought in Whedon? Because
Well,
I still think they would have.
I mean, maybe not to direct them, but this is what I'm saying. They had already had him rewriting those scenes. He was already writing all these reshoots. So even if Snyder was still going to go and direct them, all of the dialogue and stuff was still going to be Whedon. And the character building, presumably, and again, given how long they're spending on them, I really feel like, yeah, all the action set pieces, because they're the big, expensive things, and they can't redo them this late in the game, they're all going to stay. But I feel like all the connective tissue, all the sort of the character meat, I feel like that's probably going to have altered, which is a good thing. I mean, like, by all means, the more of this that's been not even directed, because I feel like Whedon, even as a fill-in director, has to match the rest of the film that's already been shot.
Yeah.
But the more of this film that was rewritten by him, the absolute better, and the more of that's been influenced by Johns as well, like working with him. Yes, all of it.
I feel his skill set is perfect for that coming from TV. Like, granted, he was the main person for Buffy and Angel and all those shows and Firefly, but if he directed, he would have to fill in the rest of the look that they're going for.
Keeping in mind how quick this, relatively quick this announcement that he was doing all these rewrites and reshoots after the Batgirl announcement, it really makes me wonder if they went to him and asked him, can you please come and fix this movie? No. And we'll let you do whatever you want. And then he said, I want to do a Batgirl movie. And that's why we have a Batgirl movie. That wouldn't surprise me if that's how that went down. If he just picked what he wanted. Because it's like, I'll do this for you. You give me that. And
when you're Warner Brothers, why not? What do you have to lose? What should have been your biggest movie, to fill in for the lack of having Harry Potter at that time, was Batman vs. Superman, and it kind of tanked. Worldwide it made enough money, but that should have been huge. That should have been not quite Star Wars level, but it's the first time Batman and Superman are sharing a screen.
Oh yeah, but the first Batman Superman movie should have been touching what the first Avengers did, or close to it. It should have been, but it didn't even crack $1 billion. Wonder Woman is close to its number worldwide.
Right.
It might not quite hit it, but it's so close that it kind of shows.
And that's. Well, I was going to say, that's great for Wonder Woman.
It is great for Wonder Woman, yeah, but Batman Superman's first appearance, especially since Wonder Woman's first appearance was also in that movie, that should have been through the roof, and it wasn't, because it was shit. Quite frankly, it was shit.
It was.
So, but one more thing I want to talk about the trailer itself. Now, this was a really interesting line that made me sit up and notice it as soon as it said it. So, Steppenwolf is narrating parts of this trailer.
Yeah.
And he has a line... and I've not got it in front of me, so I'm maybe paraphrasing slightly, but the core part of it's the important part I'm getting right. He says, no lanterns and no Kryptonian, and then something along the lines of, this will be easy, or, however he phrases it, but this will be a cakewalk because there's no lanterns and there's no Kryptonian. Right. And I immediately went, holy shit, they're pointing out that there's no lantern. That's weird. And I'll give credit to Connor, because Connor's the one who came up with this theory as to why that line makes sense, and to me this is how it will make sense, because otherwise it's forced, because why would he be saying that? I could buy the lanterns line maybe, if he's encountered lanterns on other planets and stuff, on his journeys.
Yeah.
But I like this explanation that Connor offered up. It was basically that the reason why he's saying that is because Steppenwolf has been to other Earths, and he knows what the regular Justice League is supposed to look like. And it's like an in-universe acknowledgement that something's not quite right. And the reason why I think this is a plausible possibility is because that feels like Jeff Johns. That feels just like Rebirth in the comics. It feels like he's going, something's not quite right here, so I'm going to acknowledge it in the world that something's missing. And if this is the start of him saying, no, we're going to the journey now is going to be to get to what the DC universe is supposed to be, then that's I find hope in that. So yay.
Well, as do I. I love the lanterns line. Just that being there was enough to me go, oh, okay, well, they're kind of addressing the fact that there's a lack of a Green Lantern in this. And then if you look back at the New 52, that first Justice League was about, that whole arc was Darkseid trying to stage an invasion. And we had seen him going against different Earths. There was that Earth 2 book that had Steppenwolf as its main villain, So that makes sense. I didn't even think of that until just now. And if that's the case, then I can look into this. This is just a super dark universe that Darkseid was, he thought it was right for the picking.
Yeah. I like that idea a lot. I really do. They announced a list of movies. Most of them we knew about. They specifically added in Batgirl and the Green Lantern Corps, changed Flash to Flashpoint. What I thought was interesting, obviously they announced Wonder Woman 2, and then later in the week, weirdly after Comic Con, they announced the date for it. It's coming December 2019, which is, sounds about right. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. What I thought was interesting though is, other than that, they didn't mention Gotham City Sirens. I think they did mention a Suicide Squad 2. They did, yeah. Suicide Squad 2 was mentioned. But other than that, there was no sequels to anything. I mean, I know you're pissed that there's no Superman 2, but there's no sequels to anything else coming up either. And I think what's interesting to me about that is they're legitimately, like Wonder Woman and like Suicide Squad, although Suicide Squad, I'd argue, doesn't actually deserve it, but they're basically just putting them all out on their own first and then seeing how they do, and that'll dictate what sequels we get, rather than mapping it out as heavily as Marvel have done, which, pros and cons to that, to be fair. But it does excite me though that if Batgirl does well, we're totally going to get a Batgirl 2, which is kind of amazing. Like, imagine we get a sequel to Batgirl.
Or even if it became a Bat Family movie, and that's where you can throw in Dick Grayson, Yep. And it would make it feel like its own thing, and they're not, just following the big tapestry that Marvel's done.
Yeah. But no, honestly, I'm between that line and the trailer, between like where it seems to be going now, with good creators and having someone like Matt Reeves. I was going to say Matthew Vaughn again. I did that last week.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves on the Batman. I am feeling a lot more optimistic about the movies going forward. I feel like there is a chance to fix what is wrong. It's kind of weird that the movies have almost emulated, not to the same extent, but the New 52 get into Rebirth. Should this pan out? Should Johns right the ship? It's kind of weird how it's so.
And it made sense because they were going for the lowest common denominator there. That's why you got Zack Snyder. And for all his issues with Man of Steel, it wasn't nearly as bad as Batman vs. Superman, which is giving him the entire keys. And now this is what happens when you do that. And I feel that's like what they did with New 52. Because it's like, well, here, we're going to give you the keys and just let you do whatever. And it didn't work out well.
Now, of course, we do have a universe here where Jimmy Olsen is dead. Admittedly, he wasn't named, so they could easily retcon that if they wanted to.
Yeah, that was only in the director's cut, which I've had the unfortunate of seeing.
Did they actually name him? Did they actually name him?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, he's in that scene. They're in Africa, and he says he's whatever operative James Olsen, and what's his face. KG Beast kills him.
Yeah, the reason why I bring that up is that that's exactly the sort of thing that Flashpoint could fix. Like that it's those details that have been really messed up for some reason. That we ended up with a dead Jimmy Olsen, in one scene. That wasn't even a photographer for the Daily Planet. Now, admittedly, the argument, of course, I think against Flashpoint fixing a lot of those details is that but will regular movie audiences accept all these changes because of alternate universe stuff? I think they can. I think if the TV show can do it, I think the movie can do it. I think we'll be fine. So, hope in the DCEU is my current thing.
That's what you want. That's what it's based on. It's Marvel's always done the heroes not trusting each other, like that's their bag, and let them have that. Let DC be the opposite, especially right now.
So
have them get together.
So now, admittedly, even if Justice League still turns out to be a bit of a mess, and it might, because even though you have Joss Whedon try to fix it, when you have this sort of Frankenstein's creation, it can still end up being a bit murky and weird. The end result. So my hope will still be there, even if Justice League isn't that great. I mean, obviously I'll be a little bit down after it. I'll be a bit depressed, but going forward, I still have hope for what's to come, based on who's involved, the different people, all that. So with that said, let's wrap up this movie talk, and we can get on to this week's books, which is our purpose for being here. So first up, this week we have Detective Comics 961, James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez on art. So this is obviously the next part of this whole Ascalon arc. Meanwhile, of course, Batman and Zatanna are still doing their thing. I do think, I'll start this by saying, I think this is my favourite issue of the arc so far. I feel like it's been getting better as it goes.
Yeah, I like the Zatanna stuff with their past.
Yeah,
and they're like
good.
15, getting into trouble, like because they're acting like 15-year-olds. You know, like
Yeah,
everything's plausible
yeah, and then
there.
that's just you have Zatara himself like showing up and being
Yeah,
pissed that Zatanna's showing off all the magic tricks to her boyfriend,
yeah.
and then
It's like you don't tell him everything. Like, you know, keep some things close. It's like the magician's code. So I like that they worked that in to their relationship.
and it's also the first time that he has his mind wiped, which obviously Raz does later on, and we see a little glimpse of Raz walking past as he.
Yeah,
As
which
he's,
I want to know what Zatara and Roz are up with, like, because we know there's a little bit of metal being played with here, right? So I'm wondering if Zatara is one of the immortals that we saw,
very
in the
possibly.
hooded,
Yeah.
of that. So, but that whole scene with them upside down and Zatara just walking in and fixing everything just with the magical words, it was pretty great.
Yeah, and then the other reason why I love this issue is obviously we ended in the cliffhanger last week that Azrael was kind of taking over, and we get this stuff inside his head where he's kind of fighting him with Ascalon inside himself, trying to like gain control of his body back. But in the main world, he shows up and he's fighting Batwoman, and Batwoman's like, "Yeah, I can't take you alone." But then Cassandra Cain shows up, and it's basically Batwoman and Orphan on a 2-on-1 fight with him, and it is badass as hell. I love this.
And she's quoting Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, no, that comes at the end. It's after she finally puts him down. She says a full sentence, and Batwoman's like, "Was that a full sentence?" I've been learning, and it's the smile on her face. The smile on her face as she says she'd been learning Shakespeare was touching. And then there was some fun jokes with Batwoman, which I did actually do some research into this to see what she was talking about. Did you finish the New 52 Batwoman series?
No.
Yeah, now did I. So I thought this vampire joke that sort of happened a couple of times here was amusing. She sort of says, "I hate if you when Zatanna and Batman show up to help, and they're like, oh, we were at a cell range doing stuff," and she's like, "If that's not a euphemism and you were all fighting vampires, I'll be pissed. I hate vampires." Right. And the next bit, Zatanna tries to help. She's like, "You're a vampire?" It's like, "No, I dated one though." It's like, "Yeah, me too." Apparently, yeah, there was a really bad arc. From what I understand, just from what I've heard, one of the final arcs of the New 52 run. She was in like kind of enchanted by a vampire and then made a sex slave against her will for a while. It sounded really bad, but this joking was all about making fun of that. So
see, there's a way to do that in how she's enchanted with the island in her solo series. Like, there's a way to do that, but then you cross the line and make her a sex slave. It's like, guys. That's not good for anybody.
Again, I read the cliff notes of this. Like, so,
well, and you wonder why we had a rebirth. Like, it's stuff like that. And like, I'm glad that we were able to fill that out. But like, I just went, oh, okay. Well, they're making magic jokes. Maybe there's Tynion is writing a history he can touch on later. That's how I took it.
Honestly, before I went and found out, I actually thought it worked on its own, just as a sort of fun like. Yeah. Even if it's not a history thing, like, I mean, maybe it's a history thing. Okay, maybe she's scared of vampires from vampire movies or something like that. But I thought it was just a fun joke on its own. But there is actually some connective tissue to an old thing that is kind of making fun of because it was bad. So that's fair.
That's good. Make fun of the bad. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I admit something real quick that I don't quite understand how Ascalon works in Jean Paul? Like, I get that it's programming and he was engineered, but it's one of those weird things, right? Because he's interfacing with it like it's a program. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm just going to take it and keep moving.
As I understand it, he's programmed to work with an AI, and the AI is programmed to obviously work with him. Right. Which is why we get to the end, and like Batwing has this idea to like. Basically, he's been trying to tinker with it to sort of like free Azrael of the the grasp of the the
Order, Order Saint Dumas,
and he's been trying to do it. And basically, everything he tried, it didn't work because Azrael's just like he has to connect to essentially a religion. And I don't know if you hate this idea. I feel like you might hate this idea.
I don't. I actually don't.
Good. Excellent.
Does that make sense?
So basically, it's this stupid bat suit from that Snyder story that I hated with Gordon in the suit, right? But he's found a use for it, so I'll give Tynion that. He's found a use for that stupid suit.
Well, and I like him as a supporting character with Lucas Fox. Like he's like a droid in Star Wars. You know, he doesn't talk back, but he has character. You know, because when all these AI are attacking, right? Because Ascalon's taking control of his Batwing suits, like, you know, and
yeah, it's basically if like a virus gets into like Iron Man's lair and all of his suits start being an army for the bad guy,
like in Age of Ultron. Like, you know, like Ascalon's kind of religious Ultron. Like that's how I've been reading this.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Right. So, but for whatever reason, it doesn't infect Rookie, the super heavy suit. And so Luke looks into it and it's like, well, what did Powers program you with? You know, that was that powerful to override this AI. And so he takes it apart and is able to fashion something new, which I did pop for.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty cool.
So basically, he describes it as he had to build a new religion into the code. That's how the coding works with the suit. So you had to build this suit with its own sort of religion, and the religion is based on the teachings of one man. And of course, as soon as he said that, I kind of smiled a bit. I knew where this is going. And then it's like, it kind of gets Batman and says, "Who exactly are we talking about here?" And it cuts to that final splash page of the bat, you know, suit from. It's basically the new version of his.
It's his new, his Nightfall suit.
Yeah, the Nightfall suit, the Night Quest stuff. And that's like, I'll give you one guess. It's got a giant bat logo on it. I wonder who it is.
I enjoy that for the fact that it's not coming from Batman. Like if Batman was like, yeah, these are my teachings, but that it's coming from someone else. And Batman is the Cape Crusader. Like that's his nickname, one of them. And he is on this almost religious mission to take back Gotham from the unsavory. So it fits in with the logic, and it's not a because Batman type reason. Like it fits in with all the characters going forward, and for Luke Fox to look at that because his family's so tied in to Bruce Wayne, I'm glad it came from him.
Yeah, no, I'm digging the idea, and it gives him like a suit that he can use going forward that, you know, gets him away from, you know, this plot of Ascalon. We can wrap that up and we can do new things once we've wrapped up the arc. So that's pretty cool. So, no, my favourite stuff in this issue was definitely Cass and Kate, though, teaming up and taking on, especially since they're getting the shit kicked out of them, especially Kate, like, her shoulders all ripped and she's bleeding, and, like, you know, it feels like a proper fight. It feels like they're really struggling.
Yeah, she's all woozy. She's lost quite a bit of blood in the issue. So when Zatanna shows up and helps patch her up, that was another great... I always like Zatanna as a supporting character for the Bat family, just because she's kind of the complete opposite. Whereas when you put her with Superman, you know, he's the guy that can fly and, you know, hard science fiction side of things, so it works there too. But you throw her with the grounded kind of stuff, and it amplifies what she can do more.
So all that stuff was good fun. We should also mention that the rest of the bots, all of Luke's, you know, suits, they've been taken over, as you said, and they are all at the Belfry, where Clayface is currently guarding what's his face, Nomaz, is that his name?
Nomaz.
Yeah. So we end the issue with not only the reveal of this suit, but Batman's like, we have to get to the Belfry now. Like, stuff's going down. We have to get there. And poor Clayface is there to fend him off on his own.
And the look is like, okay, this is gonna be work, because we know he can split himself. But now he has to do an escort mission, basically. Yeah. And keep Nomaz alive. Yeah.
So no, I thought this was good stuff. I think the arc was never not enjoyable, but it's definitely not been as exciting as some of the previous ones. But as it's went on, it's gained some footing. It's finding its strengths, and the book's strength's always been in the Bat film interacting with each other, and I think. The 2-on-1 fight was my favourite part of the issue, but it was all pretty good. I have little to no complaints. Art was good. I think Martinez has been doing pretty good work in the art. As we said in the last issue, anything in the rain was looking gorgeous, as we say. So, that is Detective Comics. That'll take us on to Action Comics 984. Dan Jurgens writing and Patrick Zircher on art. My, this arc really turned around, didn't it? Like. This issue and the last issue.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, this issue and the last issue have been fantastic. So, so we. What did I start with this issue? So let's start with the headlines. So we have some characters returning from it, because it turns out that Zod didn't want his army from the Phantom Zone. He was looking for two people in particular.
Yeah.
So
Ursa,
of course,
and not Non, which that was the curveball.
yeah, no, yeah, it's his son. It's Lorzord. Not Zord.
Lorzord.
I was
reading
reading
too much Power Rangers, man.
I know. Lorzord. You know what I meant? Yeah. Words.
Lorzod, who previously we knew pre-Rebirth, pre-Flashpoint as Chris Kent.
Yeah,
like he was
from Last
Superman's
Son.
first son. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Last Son was the name of the arc.
It was the arc, but they adopted him, and we got to see John's writing Lois and Clark trying to parent this.
And it was a twist. It was a twist in that book that, oh shit, this is Zod's son. Like that was a reveal.
And he was conceived in the Phantom Zone because they found a spot that was, on a tangent with the real world. So it was still Phantom Zone, but they were tangible there. And yeah, so it was nice. This curveball's just as nice, I think.
It is. I'll tell you why. And I get it. There's some fans might be like, oh, but Chris Kent was a good character, and he was like, he could be a brother to John. But here's the thing: this just gave John his Zod.
Yeah.
We have evil John now, and that is kind of exciting. This is his arch nemesis. This could be fun stuff. I'm not quite sure how Lois is going to fight Ursa, but at least with father and son, we got a nice pair of fighting going on.
We've seen her fight Superman villains with the Bat Gauntlet,
Yeah, she basically needs to go to Bruce and be like. She needs to go to Bruce and be like, hey, like I want you to design me some more armor, like the one you had, but put a Superman logo on it, because I should probably represent the family. Like,
I would almost want her to go to Lex, because Lex is part of the family right now, and she's go, hey, Luthor.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, he's kind of the weird cousin. There's some tension. You don't really.
But then
trust
again,
him.
I didn't think that out before I said it, because
yeah, he doesn't know about her. Yeah,
he doesn't know about her, because that's why he has them hide, because I don't want them to know about you guys. But yeah, so her go to Bruce, and I need some thing or the other. But Ursa can even face off against Supergirl too if she needs a Kryptonian counterpart.
That is true. Speaking of Supergirl, I thought, speaking of 2-on-1 fights that were making me fist pump this week, John busting out in that Kryptonian armor to fight Zod, and then Supergirl like teaming up with Supergirl and Superboy teaming up against Zod. And that moment where she flies in and like double punches him. Out of frame.
Pretty great.
Great stuff. Like I was like fist pumping throughout the whole thing. Like it was just seeing them work together was great. Again, much like I said in the last issue, seeing Supergirl who remembers Zod, knows what he was like on Krypton, seeing her get to like take out that frustration is really cathartic.
Yeah, because she knows he is a bad dude. Like you can frame it, he was doing this all for Krypton, but at the same time, he's very self-serving. And you could, she doesn't take two self-serving Kryptonians. See her facing her dad, Yeah,
exactly. And I think, I would love to see a Supergirl v Zod kind of like, focused story at some point. I think that'd be good stuff. But so we have all this. We have the family and the Phantom Zone. Superman gets his eyesight back, which I thought was maybe a little bit too easy, because it happened right at the start of the book. Like just like I can see
easy,
that.
Pete. It like. Too easy is not the word to describe it. I feel like he should have got it back during the fight, but he should have had to go through the Phantom Zone. Like
that was the Superman equivalent to like just like tripping over a bag of money and like, oh, I'm a millionaire now. Oh, nice.
Hey, or finding a winning lottery ticket. It was how I would have done it is, we haven't seen the solar flare for a little bit. So I would have had a solar flare type moment where he channels stuff through his eyes, and that resets whatever had happened.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't hate the idea that the Black Void thing at the Suicide Squad base, Belle Reeve. I don't mind that. That's kind of similar to the Phantom Zone, and that's why it did it. It felt so quick and just like, oh, okay.
I feel like Jurgens had to get him from the Suicide Squad, and that's why they did the Black Vault was to tie it into Suicide Squad. So
It's
I
funny
mean, he's
'cause-
saying Justice League versus Suicide Squad, so that's why.
yeah, it's funny that
Yeah.
because I thought definitely the weakest part of this arc for me was the reveal of his blindness. I thought that was mishandled, and it's kind of funny that then later on I think the the reverse of it was equally. I mean, it wasn't as convoluted. It was just too simple.
No.
It was just too easy.
And it almost wasn't needed. You kind of needed to handicap Superman some way. So when he fights Zod, it's not,
And here's the thing: I don't know if they needed to do it because I mean, Zod came with an army of his villains. Like he still needed the help. Like that was still enough to me that you needed the family to come and help him.
Yeah, and I feel like Mongol didn't do much except get uppercutted into space by Zod.
Zod uppercuts Mongol into space when he backtalks him. It is glorious.
Yeah.
He's
like, oh, you want a new world? All right, here, get started. And then boom.
do you know what I like about this though? I like one of my complaints as well earlier on in the arc when they first got Zod is that I thought Zod was too easily going along with their stuff. So I actually really like that in the last issue he took command, he became the leader because he should become the leader, and then in this issue he disposed of them as soon as he got what he wanted. Yeah. I like that. It felt like in character form.
Blank, right? Blank could have been his biggest threat. The dude's a telepath. Yeah. He's super. But the fact that he made him be the tether to Eradicator and Cyborg Superman, and basically took Blank off the board, because by the end of this, he is it's almost, what is it, scanners?
He may be dead. Explode. Yeah, it looks like he's, they may reverse it later, but he looks like he might be dead. Obviously, Cyborg Superman as well is left in the Phantom Zone, which is actually Superman's choice. He's like, yeah, he's kind of dangerous, but leave him in there just now until we figure out what to do with him.
Just take his necklace. You take his necklace, he's back to being a normal human.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
Good point.
His wish necklace, but no. I like them like Superman. You think you should have done that? He's like, yeah, it's fine. It's the Phantom Zone. He'll be fine.
I'll tell you what I want. After this arc, obviously we're going to get some Zod and his family try to build a new Krypton. Obviously that's good fun stuff. We'll see it. But I'll tell you what I want. I want an arc, probably in Supergirl, where Superboy comes to visit and spend the weekend with his big cousin.
His cousin,
And I want to see her. Basically, remember that issue of Stephanie Brown Batgirl where Damien was there for an issue?
Where she had to babysit him.
Yeah.
And I say babysit with quotes.
That was a fantastic issue. I kind of want that with Supergirl, and obviously it wouldn't be the same thing because he's not the little shit that Damien is. But just the idea of them going on a misadventure together and doing, bonding.
Well, I want them just to be on a search for ice cream and stuff because we know John loves ice cream, and just stuff keeps happening, and him and Kara have to he's in National City for the weekend or whatever, and stuff keeps happening, and they just Superboy and Supergirl it up. That would be a lot of fun.
Other little touches. Crypto also gets in the action. Yeah, Lois is.
It takes out Zod, kinda. You could say that it's Crypto getting involved that takes Zod off his game enough for Superman to finally do it, and it's the inverse of what, I don't know if inverse is the right word, but so Zod's looking for his family, whereas Superman has his family, and that's the strength of this issue. Well, it's everybody. It's Steel and Superwoman and Supergirl, Keenan, all of that.
Yeah, and what I like about it as well is, obviously we kind of touched on that about, John having an arch nemesis now, potentially. But just the idea that now, we've suddenly, because we've got this new status quo with Superman where he's got a wife and he's got a kid, it's really interesting that his arch nemesis now also has a wife and a kid. It really sets this balance up where it's okay, how do we play with that? And I feel like that's the intent here. We're going to see how that stacks up. How do we do this? So no, this was a great issue. I thought it set up some really interesting things. Characters had great moments, and not just the main ones. Family characters had great moments.
The art too. I like Zircher on art when it doesn't feel rushed, because we've seen some action issues where he's definitely been rushed, I think, just because of the schedule.
Yeah, I think
and also you pointed out that he was talking on Twitter about wanting to draw Justice Society and Legion of Superheroes.
He was this week,
And after seeing him draw all of these characters, give him a big cast, guys. He is more than capable.
Yeah, no, some good stuff. I also, I like that Zod, he doesn't actually get defeated per se. Basically, Ursa
Oh,
just convinces him, look, now's not the time for this fight. We just
uh-uh.
go out the Phantom Zone, let's go and regroup. And
He didn't get. He retreated. It was
yeah,
strategic. Yeah.
and him and Superman do not look happy at each other, which
No. And I like that
well
because I
done.
feel like Superman feels he can save each of his villains. You remove Brainiac from that, but like Metallo and I'm trying to think of some of the others. I just can't right now. But he always feels like he's reaching a hand out to him. But Zod, it feels like this deep down, like we're just never gonna get along, and I'm gonna end you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna throw you back into the Phantom Zone.
So, what do we have here at the end here? So Eradicator's with the Zod family, so he's still in play,
Yep.
and it makes sense he's still aligned with them because Eradicator's whole thing about preserving Krypton is very
Kryptonian,
much, it's very much Zod's goal as well to put that point.
Kryptonian supremacy. Like
Yeah.
that's what he is.
So we got that. I like the small moment where Superman thanks Lex. He's like, I couldn't have done, we couldn't have achieved this without you. It really sets up again that this is not our old Lex. This is one of the things out of the New 52 that's actually quite interesting, that we've got a Lex who's more of an anti-hero. Because it's kind of the idea that Lex eventually realised that he's just being jealous, and he kind of learns that, you know what, I should just actually,
It took Superman dying in order for him to fully make the face turn. You know, and now he has one back, and he can make it up. So when that heel turn comes again, it's gonna rip my heart out because I'll have my favorite villain back, and I'll be happy. But like, what was the cost?
I'm liking trying to be a hero, Lex. I'm digging that idea, even if he's still a dick about things, because of course he is.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's smarter than you, and he knows it. Like,
Of course, the last thing we'll not mention is that when John's in the battle suit, he's hearing a voice. He's here, and at first I was kind of like, wait, is the suit got like an AI that I didn't know about? Like, and that's what's talking to him. That's what I
and
was
it's
thinking.
green, so I was like, is this a Brainiac type deal? Like, are we
Yeah,
gonna get to the
was,
point that Brainiac's Kryptonian tech again?
there was a lot of plausible reasons for this, but of course at the end he mentioned it to Lois, and she was like, "Oh, there's no one else here, John." And then it cuts to Mr. Oz, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to have to widen your horizons, Lois, by the time we meet." And then that was it.
So we'll get to this later about the
When we get to
Oz.
the theories about Oz at the end of the show, we'll talk about
But
this more.
offline, we had talked about our own personal theories, and now this just blew this all up because talking about those, I hadn't read Action yet, and now my brain's just like, well, he could be anyone again. So, but we'll talk about that more later. That's a tease.
Yeah. No, great issue of Action. I really dug these last two issues. Really good stuff. So, that'll take us on to Wonder Woman number 27. Shea Fontana writing, and Mirka Andolfo on art. This is the second part of this 5-issue arc that this team's on. I was quite positive about the last issue. Matt was less so. Connor also liked the last issue. I know Connor also liked this issue. I, however, have kind of flipped a little bit here because
Connor's wrong. I'm going to say it.
I was not feeling this issue. I mean, there was some small moments I liked. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like just complete garbage from start to finish by any means. There was some good stuff. The art's typically pretty good. But I was not feeling the main bulk of this issue, which was the Doctor character. Like, after the explosion, it turns out she's the one that planted it because she is sick and she wants to. She's figured out how to steal like Diana's Themysciran like superior genes, and she like steals them, and then she basically hulks out. She's got all these muscles, and it.
Yeah, she over Amazons herself, and I look. Diana's made from clay. Okay, there's no DNA there, guys.
You know what? I don't even have a problem with that side of it, right? Which is a fair point. Don't get me wrong. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
But that's not even what I have a problem with here. I have two problems with this. One, her with the muscles just looked really goofy and it felt silly. And then two, I felt like her motivation, what she was doing, it came out of almost nowhere so fast and just
It felt tacked on.
Because I mean, obviously they teased in the last issue that she coughed a little bit and it was like, oh, okay, so maybe we're setting up that she's sick. But it did not lead me to, oh, she's stealing Amazon DNA so she can bulk up. And don't get me wrong, I liked how Diana won the fight. She put the lasso around her, which, this isn't your true self, so that's I liked how that was the solution to the problem. And I liked at the start of the issue where Diana's like, post-explosion and she's like, got fire on her back and all that, and the suit's kind of ripped away and she's, in her actual outfit and all that stuff. Like, there was some fun stuff at the start, and her seeing it at the end, the small moment I really liked, the Friends DVD joke, whatever. But the moment I did like is she's like, "Oh, did you make these cookies or muffins or whatever they were?" And she's like, "Oh no, the ones I made turned out very poor. I bought these ones; they are much better." But
I still made some.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just feel like a very Wonder Woman line to me, because it was very much I bought these; they are much better. That was the line that cracked me up. I liked that line.
Pretty good. Yeah, and Etta, her being, she caught some shrapnel, so
yeah, she's in the hospital. I never even mentioned that. She's in the hospital.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just I'm glad that Fontana is getting a chance to write Wonder Woman proper. I just feel this felt like a very disposable any superhero. You could have done the story with any almost superhero.
And obviously there was one little flashback to Themyscira again, which seems to be an ongoing thread with these issues. What I think's weird though is this is a 5-issue arc, and I feel like everything that's set up in the first issue has been wrapped up, and then we get
Wait a minute, this is 5? I thought it was 3.
No, it's 5.
Oh man, I thought I got one more of these, and then I get James Robinson.
No, 5 issues, and then I think Robinson's 5 or 6. But
oh man.
Oh, Connor's just messaged me. He said, "Oh shit, I'll throw you my top 5 or something soon." So we may get his top 5 yet.
We might.
Next recording break, I'll message him back and see what he's got to say for himself.
Crack that whip, Pete. Crack that whip.
Oh, I will.
Anyways, back to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, what was I saying? So we get this tease at the end of where it's going next, and it's really weird to me that it's a 5-issue story, and the team knew they had 5 issues, and yet it felt like a 2-parter. And I'm sure some of it will, the flashbacks we're getting each issue, I'm sure that'll build up to something that will feel a bit more thematic overall.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I like the her trying, because she heard what her mom said in the last issue about her.
But we get this tease at the end that there's basically it cuts to like an assassin. It's like, oh, dead or alive, and dead preferably. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm coming for you, Wonder Woman. Is basically the ending. I'm adding extra dialogue there. I shouldn't actually say that, but so. And I just felt like this is weird. This feels like the end of an arc and an ongoing, and then it's setting up the next arc. But it's not. I mean, obviously the book's ongoing, but it's not an ongoing run by a team. It's just a 5-issue thing, and it feels weird to kind of have a 2-issue wrapped up and then tease what the next thing is going to be. Like, is this assassin thing going to be 3 issues, or is it just going to be 1 issue, and then we're going to get another little thing? Not that that's bad per se. It's just it just felt a bit weird. I don't know. I don't know. I felt like the whole Doctor secretly, I felt like if they built up the Doctor thing, her being muscly would have been weird. But if this was an ongoing thing where they slowly kept teasing that she's behind something, and maybe teased, oh, maybe she's a villain, and then teased that maybe she's, and then we have it revealed in the 4th or 5th issue, oh, now she's that's what she's after. She wants to try and steal her DNA. Like, okay, that would have maybe worked because you built up to it, but it just felt super quick.
I feel like she could be a cool Jekyll Hyde villain going forward. She can't always access the Themysciran DNA, right? She needs something to, and that's her goal going forward. But they just took her off the board in the same issue, like you're saying, I felt this was a bridging issue to get to the final issue of the run. But now there's 5, and so I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I thought this was a weird misstep. I liked the first issue quite a bit. I thought that was good setup for pretty much the most part. Whereas this, I felt like it just took one of those things that's set up and just quickly wrapped it up in a really weird and silly way. So obviously there's still some stuff to like. I think her voice for Wonder Woman is quite good. I think her voice is spot on. So maybe I still wouldn't be opposed to Shea getting more of a run out of Wonder Woman. It's just a case of I'm not super compelled by the goofiness of the story. So I'm hoping the next issue is good, because I like the first one. I hope the next one's back on sort of more what I'd like. So, alright, that'll take us on to The Flash number 27, Joshua Williamson writing, and Paul Pelletier and Howard Porter both on art. So, this was the conclusion to this arc. Flash, of course, has his negative Speed Force powers, which seems to be having a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde effect on him itself. Like, he seems like...
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be like a slow kind of red kryptonite thing, where it's not always in effect, but whenever he loses his temper, it's going to kick in, and it'll put him into red kryptonite mode.
Yeah, because not to jump ahead, but where the issue leaves him at, it's kind of not that Williamson's being preachy, but it's kind of like this is what negativity gets you, right?
Yeah, that's
So, sometimes doing the right thing isn't enough. Like you need to mean it too. So, I like that, but I love Williamson's Thawne. Like
it's not.
he's up there with John's. Like his Zoom, just not as creepy as John's Zoom. Of Hunter Zolomon.
Yeah,
But I feel is up there as a good villain for Barry.
I will say. I mean, I like what this issue did for the most part. I do think it's a little bit sloppy. Like, there's a couple of things I feel like just happen a little bit. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I feel like Iris blasting Thawne with the big giant gun was necessarily earned at that moment. The kind of thing. Like, there's just a few things like that I didn't quite feel exactly right.
See, she doesn't know that he can come back. Like, so.
Oh yeah, he's not gone for good. He'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about that.
As far as Iris is concerned, she just straight up murdered that dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of my favorite Simpsons line of all time is from Treehouse of Horror 1, where Flanders is a zombie, and he says something to Homer, and Homer blasts him with the shotgun. Bart's like, "You killed Zombie Flanders," and Homer's like, "He was a zombie." Like,
yeah, I see what you mean. Like, it's kind of weird that she made that choice. It's like, I mean, as much as he's been threatened, as dangerous as he is, it just didn't feel earned that she would outright try and kill him like that. Your make is going that. So, but like, I liked what it did here. I like, it really again hit home that Thawne's obsessed with him. It hit home all these different things. I like that Iris is pissed about not knowing, and she's got all these weird new emotions. Like, it feels like it's actually hit her now that we just saw this weird future where we had these evil kids. Like, is that all real? Is that going to happen? Like, Barry, what's going on? And I did like the moment when they're at the hospital with new Wally towards the end of the issue, and she's like, "Is there anything else you've lied about?" And we just see that quick flash of pardon the word used of the word flash, like of him and like old Wally, and it's like, he knows there's like history's been erased, and they actually had a more of a relationship before this. But he's keeping that because I mean that's a lot to.
There's nothing that he can do that's like if a what's the word I'm looking for? If a presumptive future where they have evil twins is gonna wreck her, imagine a whole past where she had a different nephew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing. But I liked a lot of what it did though. The overall themes of what it's hitting at and like sort of where it leaves Barry, I do like. I like the obsession with Thawne and the idea that we're reading from his like kind of journal at the start and the end.
Yeah.
I like that stuff. I like when Barry's in negative mode, so he's kind of like he's more of an asshole basically, and he's saying all these mean things. I like that he's like, it wasn't some like giant cosmic like timey-wimey thing that made me forget you. I forgot you because you just weren't that memorable. That was such a good evil line to say. It's like it wasn't Flashpoint, it wasn't a crisis, it wasn't all these things rewriting reality. You're just not memorable.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, that's like the opposite of love isn't hate; it's apathy.
Yeah.
But I also the line that got me was where Thawne's like, "It's the only time you'd spend time with me," and I went, "Oh man!" And then he goes back to being just an utter evil shit. That's like, "I'm gonna keep coming, and I'm gonna keep destroying your life, and I'm gonna keep coming back, and there's nothing you can do about it." And it's like, "Oh well, you just had me," and then Thawne can't help himself because he is nuts. Like he's broke.
It really is, and I'll tell you. Obviously, there's a lot of this issue's them fighting, and they fight basically through time. There's all these double-page layouts of them going through all the period. Like, they go through ancient Egypt, they go through all these different places. And
that was cool.
What I like actually is as that starting, there's a really cool page where down the side of the page, just like you see them speeding around the Earth. But the Earth panels really reminded me of Crisis on Infinite Earths for some reason, and I don't know if that was an intentional little thing.
I would guarantee that it is. It has to be.
But no, that was all fun stuff. If I'm going to make other critiques though, I do think the art is really hit and miss. There's some pages that I think look really rough. Iris's face, but just after the double page layout of them going through all the different like places and I think time periods. Maybe they're not actually moving through time, but I think they are.
No, they are, because if
Yeah.
you look, and I'm going to break this down real quick, they're in caveman times.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
pretty
actually,
sure.
yeah. There's cavemen at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, the screen.
I'm,
Oh, there's a screen 'cause it's an iPad, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Page.
But at the bottom of the page, because I'm pretty sure one of those is Vandal Savage, and then you have the Hawks. If you look in the Egypt one,
Ah, yeah, you're right. There's Hawks
they're
in there.
they're flying, and then you have Etrigan in Shining Knight in the third one at the castles. The haunted tank in it was Sergeant Rock, in all
Yeah.
of them.
Then you've got the two Wallies, and presumably close to
Yup.
present day.
And then it looks like the Tornado Twins in the future. It's a purple
Very well
tornado.
spotted. You really read into this page a lot more than I did.
Oh, I love. So we
fair
all know
play.
this. I love the history of the DCU. So anytime there's a page like this,
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
what got me was Etrigan up on the parapet, and I was just like, oh, what else is here? And so I went through them all. But back to what you're saying about the art, yeah.
It's the,
Iris's face on that next page.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Iris's the panel at the top specifically. It's a profile shot of Iris as they're sort of running back into the room. I do not know. She looks like a blow-up doll.
And a caveman blow up doll on top of that. Her forehead is Neanderthal-esque.
It's rough stuff. I really, and I don't think either of the artists are. I mean, I like Howard Porter a lot, and I don't think Paul Pelletier is not bad either. Like,
No, but I've seen some of Pelletier's art look like that in some issues of Aquaman when he was writing with Johns.
I feel like this might have been a rush to get this out in
Yep.
time. It really feels like that. So the art, unfortunately, in this one's quite sketchy, which is unfortunate. And there's some pages that work a little bit better, of course, but it is definitely hit and miss, and it's a real shame, especially since it's like these big emotional moments that it kind of takes you out of it because something's not quite right. So that's a shame. Also,
yeah. Go ahead.
subtle touch I really liked is when Iris is like, Barry, take me home, and she's like pissed at him and she's kind of scared at him, and they speed out of the room, but it basically leaves and you see like just this destroyed Flash museum empty behind them for a couple of panels at the end, and I really like that. It's kind of like, look at the damage that this has caused. Even if it's not all necessarily Barry's fault, just the idea that this ordeal has left his life in these ruins, and it's like this literal represent. Yeah, this is a sort of literal representation, and you don't really get literal representations, but you know what I mean. It's a representation of what his life is like right now. It's just in complete chaos. It's tarnished. It's trashed. It's just good stuff in terms of the idea behind it's good, even if the art's a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, and the fact that he kind of went to Thawne's level, and tapped into that negative speed force, has kind of left his life in shambles, and that's where I meant at the end that Barry's usually the positive, sunny guy, and always is looking, if he doesn't like you, he'll be a smartass to you like he is to Green Arrow, But other than that, he's still a basic good guy, and here he tapped into that, and it's kind of cost him his relationships with Wally and with Iris now. And that last page is just him kind of crumpled over at his desk in despair. And it was a nice emotional hit there.
So solid ideas, some good character stuff going on. A couple of things felt rushed and unearned, mainly with Iris, and the art was kind of sketchy. So all in all, it's kind of a weird mixed bag of an issue, even if overall I like kind of what it's doing. So, unfortunate, but... But there you go. So that'll take us on to Batgirl number 13, Hope Larson writing, and it's Inaki Miranda on art. And this is kind of like between the first and second arc, between the Asia stuff and then the Son of Penguin, we had that
Ivy issue.
Yeah, we had that Ivy issue on the plane, the one shot story. And likewise here we have a one shot story before we get to the next arc, and this is a story set one night, and it's Esme, a little girl who we met before. We met her in the library. She was Barbara was kind of like helping them train.
You mean they're watching us right now? That girl.
Yeah, that girl. And she's out. She's got all of her protective skateboarding gear on. Basically, she's got knee pads and a helmet on and all that. And she's out basically being her own little vigilante. She's questioning these kids about what turns out to be a missing dog. And Batgirl shows up and helps and chases off the kids. And basically what it turns into is a team up where Batgirl's got this really smart little girl sidekick who's adorable and funny throughout the entire thing, and then turns into an also team up with Catwoman because the whole plot is about this what's her name? What's the ridiculous?
I'm getting to her.
What's the ridiculous cat theme
Velvet
villain?
Tiger.
Velvet Tiger. That was her name.
Who I've never even heard of, and I run deep in DC.
Yeah, I've not heard of Velvet Tiger. Although it was kind of that weird thing though, even though I've not heard of him, like yeah, she seems to fit. Like,
yeah, I have no problems with it. But like when I got to that page turn and reveal, it was okay, cool. But yeah, someone kidnapped. What's the cat's name?
Isis was the name of the cat, and the dog's name is. Oh God,
well, he's the firehouse dog, right? So he was saved from a fire, and
basically the silver tiger,
Velvet
Tiger. She is stealing famous cats and dogs and other pets from Instagram, or whatever their fake Instagram is in
Pixtagram.
Pixtagram. But she's stealing these more famous things, and it's like, and that was one of the funny elements of the issue is that Batgirl's like, wait, Catwoman, you have like an account for your cat? And it's like, yeah, and I've got a deal with some cat food company, or a perfume company. I love this issue. This was a blast. This was like a Shane Black directed issue of Batgirl.
Yes, it was, because it had the humor and everything. The line that killed me, and it was just like, so my favorite like DC ladies list it's kind of short and it rotates. Lois is on there, and Barbara Gordon and Kara mainly. Wonder Woman's been there, but I think Babs has just leapfrogged Lois for the moment.
Oh my.
Yeah, based off of this issue, because how she's dealing with Esme and like how she gets her trust is like, oh, I know Barbara Gordon and she's told me about this really smart little girl
and actually,
at the library.
See, to compliment the art, their facial like sort of expressions during this, especially Esme's shocked face after she's like, she told you about me? It legit looks like a kid who's like shocked that like someone's talked about it. It's great stuff. I also want to compliment the art on the previous page as well when she's telling her about who the dog is, and it's like the story, the flashback story of the fireman finding the dog. It sort of bleeds into the panels that it's
like a fade.
Yeah,
in a movie.
And I really like that. It's just really well done, really really quick. All of their interactions. I love that she basically tricks, or not tricks, but like Batgirl's like, oh, I'm going to take you home now, so where do you live? And they see Catwoman and like, if you take me home, you're never going to find out, because she wants to like go on the adventure. And it's just really fun, witty kid stuff. The kid's really smart as well. She knows all these like science facts about cats and dogs. She wants to be a vet, except that she's allergic to cats and dogs. So
there's shots. She'll be good. You know what I mean? You can get your allergy shots.
But it's adorable because she keeps sneezing.
Yeah, and that's what gives them away eventually, is her sneezing. The line that killed me was Barbara talking about how much she hates Burnside anymore because the hipster boutiques that have opened up include a perfumery for pets. And she's just like, I can't take this anymore. And between that and during the Emperor, or the Emperor Penguin, they're talking about New 52, the Son of the Penguin arc, where they had that bar that was kind of inverted, that she went to.
Oh yeah,
she was kind of over that.
Wasn't the one that was also like a laundrette and a bar at the same time, and it was all the washing machines were on the wall? That was weird.
Yep. And so she's just like, God, I love this part of town, but I just can't. Because whenever I think Burnside's hit bottom, another level of nonsense opens. Yeah. So.
Also, just to compliment the art, I'm just looking at the page where they get to the animals, and like the cat looks great. Like that's a detailed cat, like pawing up to get to Catwoman. That's good stuff. So they fight the whole thing. Esme has a little fun moment where she's like hiding and she throws out this little chew toy that looks like a grenade, and it makes all the bad guys' henchmen sort of like just sort of scatter.
Grenade. Yeah.
It's good fun stuff. And even just the ending's really sweet, where they're like, "Oh, let's get a photo of the girl who saved Rookie the dog for the paper," because everyone knows him. It's like he's like a little town hero.
Yeah, he's famous.
And she's like, "Oh, I can't. My mum will know I snuck out." And she's like, "Oh, let's just take a photo of your feet." And she's like, "Do you want to be in the photo with me, Batgirl?" And she's like, "Okay." And it's just all sweet. It's like it's kind of like taking the Shane Black kind of like smart ass sidekick kid, right? But just also adding in the sweetness to it. It gives it this. I don't know. It was just such a fun issue. This was a great one shot.
Yeah,
I was super into
this. I agree. And I felt the same too about the Ivy on the plane. Like I said up to that point, that was my favorite issue thus far. and then this one. I think this might be my favorite of the monthly books for sure. I look forward to Batgirl. This is my first read this week.
Yeah, maybe. I'd have to think about it, but I
Uh,
will say this.
yeah.
So the ending, like she gets her home, and it sets up a little plot strand for Esme where she feels a little bit lonely because her mother keeps not coming home till late. She works a lot since she feels that her mother's never there, and I think that's setting up a little plot thread that we can kind of pay off later with her. And the other thing that I think this issue does really well that I really like is that by bringing Esme back, because she was good when we first met her as well, but like this was a real chance to like get to know her and really care about her. Is that it makes me care about Batgirl saving the town a lot more because it's giving me a civilian face in the town that I care about. So now whenever the town's in jeopardy, whenever like some villain might destroy the whole town, it's like I'm going to think, oh no, Esme is in trouble, and because of that, it makes me care a little bit more. So I think this issue was a really fun story. Really made me care about this new supporting character that can pop up from time to time, and I hope she does. But it gave the town a human face that I can care about. And I think that's good.
When they moved Babs to Burnside, it was this big, huge moment in the New 52, and ultimately fell flat for both of us. I feel this is doing what they meant to. It's tying her into that part of the city.
Yeah.
It's showing her reactions to all of this. Larson doesn't write her as too cool for school. Like, she's not bringing people down with QR codes,
Yeah, supporting cast is a big thing for me. I feel like a lot of the New 52 suffered because it was scared to give character supporting cast. I think Nightwing suffered from it in the New 52. Batgirl suffered from it. Lots of books suffered from it. Not that they didn't have any, of course. Like Batgirl's roommate was a big thing in the New 52, so maybe she didn't suffer from it as much as some of the other characters did. But it felt like they were so Superman was terrible for it because they basically just
can just leave terrible.
Yeah, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, so I feel like taking the time to do this supporting character. Hope Larson. I mean, I've liked both her arcs, but definitely these one shots have been like the two crown jewels in the run so far.
Yep.
So, but no, I would say this is probably my favorite issue of the run.
Mine
so
too.
far. So, no, so great job. Really liked it. Yeah, so I guess that'll take us on. I just want to fawn over it because I sort of like, even though I enjoy Batgirl every month, I didn't expect to love the issue as much as I did this time. So I got to the end of it, I'm like, man, that was great. So there you go. That's Batgirl. That'll take us on to Teen Titans number 10. Benjamin Percy writing. We have Khoi. This is really weird. We got two artists, right? And I guess this was like we need to finish this in time kind of thing. I don't think this one that suffers like Flash did though. But the reason why I'm pausing to tell you about this before I say the names is I think it's really funny how these two last names are really similar, barring one letter. We have Khoi Pham and Pop Mham. And they're both spelled Ham at the end of the last names, and I think that's really funny. But it was like we don't quite have relatives, but we have two people who have very similar sounding names. Let's just put them together. It just felt
and very similar penciling styles. Because
it doesn't jar.
They meld very well.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of looking for it because it said very specifically at the start that it switches after page 16. It wasn't like it was like, bits and pieces. It was no. First 16 pages is Khoi Pham, who's been the regular artist, and then Pop Mham for the rest of it. Pop Mham's a really fun name. Pop Mham.
And I like their style too. Like the way that they draw Starfire. Really.
I like so the big things in this issue. Of course, we're continuing with the Aqualad story, and Black Manta, of course, showed up at the end of the last issue. Aqualad jumps in, Jackson jumps in to sort of defend his mother. It's like, if you want me, take me. So Black Manta takes him, and Jackson's mother shows up at the Titans Tower and asks for help, which leads the plot going forward. But the other big thing in this issue is that Beast Boy, when he's out with Starfire, starts to question. It's like, Robin's been a dick. He's probably fired Jackson just like he fired Wally. We need to do something. Raven, of course, is also like nagging Robin. What's his face? Damien. Took me a while. Like, sometimes names just escape your head. Okay, she's nagging Damien. It's like, you're being a dick. You fired. You're trying to justify it to yourself, and you're being too hard on Jackson to make yourself feel better. And because Damien's even asking Batman for advice, like, how do you keep the Justice League in line, Dad? How do you do that?
I don't.
Pretty much. And And it's showing that Damien, despite the fact that he thinks he's the best there is to lead the team, he's not actually prepared for it. And it pairs up nicely with the Starfire stuff, because Beast Boy's like, you're the oldest, and, you know, he doesn't actually say this next part, but she was also on the previous Teen Titans. She's an original, you know, New Titans member. So it feels like she should be the leader. She's the legacy. She's the older legacy character who should be the one leading the team.
Right.
So when Jackson's mother comes in and all of this starts going down, Damien's still being a little dick. So Starfire basically just by default jumps into leader mode and starts giving out orders like, Beast Boy, go and do this with the Ocean. Raven, go do this. You know, contact Tempest, because we need some experience with Black Manta. And then she's like, Damien, you go do this. And he's like, but it's like, no, we don't have time for this. Just go do it. And he said, he begrudgingly just goes and does it. And I think this will be a really fun kind of turn for Damien, where maybe he does give up being leader to Starfire for a while, because maybe he'll, you know, learn that he isn't quite ready right now to do that job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's John. Like, John will just listen to him because he has seniority, you know? He doesn't necessarily have seniority over any of these others. Maybe Wally and Aqualad, but the rest of them have been doing stuff for a little bit at least.
Yeah. I mean, it depends to the point. Like how long in the New 52 universe, like, has Beast Boy been around? I have no idea. Yeah. Like, it's kind of wishy-washy in that sense. But...
Oh, man, remember when he was part of the Red, and he was Red? Oh.
I don't actually, but...
I do. Man. But no, it was good. And I like how they dealt with Black Manta here. I like his... You know, he's a rogue. He's a treasure hunter.
He is, yeah, because the whole thing, we get this backstory how he the reason why he even got with Jackson's mother, because she was obviously from Zebel, which is the same place as Mira. So that's why she can do all the water trickery. But so he's after the Black Pearl, which, you know, it was giving me some weird Pirates of the Caribbean thoughts, which I don't like having.
I kept like, you couldn't name it anything else. You had to call it the Black Pearl. But, like, it's the same thing Jack Sparrow goes after, man.
But he's looking for that, and she helps him find this necklace thing that's like a map to it. It's very Indiana Jones. It's very treasure hunting sort of malarkey.
Hence why I liked it.
But it's all underwater, of course. But he's taking Jackson, because Jackson's got the necklace, and he's taking Jackson to this location that they're trying to find the Black Pearl. And obviously it ends with a big cliffhanger that they get to the Black Pearl. This seems too easy. There's a giant squid monster thing, but big octopus monster attacking them. And that's all fine and well. But what I loved about this, right? So we get all this backstory and stuff, and Jackson's like trying to like talk to him. He's like, don't talk to me. I don't care about you being my son. And it's kind of like what you said in Flash about sometimes apathy's worse than hate. Because Jackson's like telling him about his life. He's like, oh, my favourite band's this. I do this. I have these interests. This is what I'm like. And then he adds at the end, and I'm gay, right? He adds that on at the end. And Black Manta, and this, I mean, I don't know, maybe someone who's actually came out to the parents can tell me if this is worse or not, but I have to imagine that, like, even worse than, oh, you're gay? Oh my god. Like, you know, that reaction where they're opposing to the idea, is that better or worse than what Black Manta does, where he just turns around and says, do you think I care? You're just meat. Like,
yeah, we're all just meat. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Like,
the only reason he even cares about this kid is because he has the necklace. Like, him being his son doesn't even matter.
I mean, the apathy there is... I mean, I suppose it's not comparable to a regular parent freaking out because their kid's gay, because at least in that situation, the parent was already, like, having a relationship and they already cared about them. So that's, like, taking away the illusion that they cared about them no matter what. Whereas here, this is, like, you know, oh, long-lost father's a complete evil dickhead who does not care about me at all. Like... You know, so it's almost like Jackson's reaching for that moment where he wants to come out to his father. It's like a big moment in his life because it's a big part of him, and his father's like, I don't give a shit.
Well, and you get the fact that you know that Manta and his dad were close because they bring it back up here. They would do treasure hunts together, and he's doing this all in his dad's memory. Like,
Black Manta's dad, not Jackson's foster father. The way he said that, the sentence sounded like you were talking about Jackson's dad.
Yeah, no, but so... And we should touch that the Black Pearl also can, like, control storms. Like, a famous pirate had it. And Atlantis and the surface world had come together to stop her.
Yeah, that was an interesting part of the history here, that Atlantis and the surface world joined forces because this threat was too big. So
I like that. Maybe Shades of Seven Seas coming? I don't know. But I liked all that. And I like Black Manta when he's not the head of some weird undersea evil organization. So
that is fair.
Yeah, he's just a great villain because he has no setting other than himself. Like, he only wants to kill Aquaman because he holds Aquaman responsible for his dad's death. And other than that, he doesn't care. It's a personal revenge style. And that, I think that breaks him out from other Justice League villains.
No, honestly, I've always been into Black Manta just because I thought his helmet looked cool.
He's got a cool look, for sure.
Yeah, I like the idea that an evil scuba diver is Aquaman's arch nemesis. There's just something kind of cool about that. But I like what it's doing with this family stuff to set him up. I'm liking what it's doing with Damien's, like, should he be a leader? Should Starfire be the leader? I'm really excited to explore that. I think this issue, one of the best this series has had, actually. I think maybe it's finding its feet. Maybe Percy. Maybe I'm just saying that because the first arc was actually a lot of fun. I think it was just because we had that weird misstep with the crossover, which kind of felt like a damper all of the books involved. Like, all of them feel like they kind of had this down point because of that crossover, because it wasn't that good. But now we're back into the main things, and Deathstroke was pretty good. Desmond, Teen Titans was pretty good. Titans was enjoyable. So
we got through that, and we know now too that the writer didn't want it to be this big crossover. He just wanted it to happen in the pages Deathstroke. So.
Which, I mean, and I've said this before about these crossovers being so quick. The upside is that, okay, it wasn't that good, but it was over in a month, and we're back to things being good.
Short memories.
So I can't complain too much, I suppose. That'll take us on to Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 25. This is the special anniversary exercise issue. Robert Venditti on the writing and Ethan Van Sciver on art. Now, obviously, Connor usually talks to you about this, Matt, but he's not here, so you are flying solo. What happened in old Hal and Pals this month, or this week, because it's twice a month?
I'll just start that Venditti is still one of my most frustrating writers, because half the stuff he writes I love, and the other half I'm just like, what are you doing? So this picks up on last issue where Tomar 2 has, they know what he's done by killing Romatru, the evil Sinestro Corps child killer. And they have him and Hal surrounded, and Hal holds them at bay, the Sinestro Corps members, until, Arkillo can come in and kind of bail him out. And he kind of gets on the Sinestro people, are like, look, you were warned. We're working with these guys. He's going to face justice. Just let it happen. But Soranik's also super pissed, right? Because she found out about her kid that doesn't really exist from the future coming back to destroy him. And she branded Kyle. But she's had a full-on villain break here. And that's one of the things that drives me nuts. I haven't been reading this from the beginning, right? We all know that Connor's, praise led me back in.
Yeah.
But man, Soranik here, I just feels miswritten and
do you feel
characterized.
Do you feel it's forced for just because he wants to tell this plot, so he's just going to force it so he can do it?
That's what it is. And so she's like, I am no longer Soranik Natu. I am Soranik Sinestro. And the Green Lanterns and the, Yellow can't get along because there's too many differences. It's like, well, nah, because you overthrew your dad because he had taken things too far. And now, like, you're going to let this all break up. Like, you're a surgeon. Like, you know about the long game here. So it feels hollow. And there's a splash page where she's just kind of like, I know the truth. I know what Sinestro was planning because I am now Soranik Sinestro. And it's super melodramatic. And they start chanting Sinestro's name. And they all pledge loyalty except for a group that, we're just like, no, we believe in this dream. We learned from the Green Lantern Corps. And it's like, it's Space Ape, which that's a plus for me. Because I like that he gets to stay in the book now.
I like the idea that there's a group of them that say, no, we actually like this alliance. And like, that's interesting to me. That's cool.
And so they take John's side. And so John's like, well, if there's anyone else. And so Guy and Arkillo have a last minute, like a final moment together as buds. And he's like, look, if we have to fight, we'll fight. And Arkillo's like, no, we made an oath to each other. And so we're cool, but, I have to follow Sinestro's word because, like, that's my thing. So they leave, and you can kind of see that they'll hang out on the weekends. Because it's not necessarily that that the Yellows are gonna go back to being like straight up terrorists. They're going to do things their own way. So it's almost like I'm trying to think of because they're not exactly a police force. They're almost kind of like a mercenary group. Like I feel like you need extra help in dealing with the situation. So not the Ravagers, that's Guardians, but Bulfunga's group, they're terrorizing. You bring in the Sinestros because they'll do stuff that the Green Lanterns can't. So I do like that. It's one of the ideas that I kind of like going forward, but yeah, we get to the end and we get a cool moment of them fighting with some of the Yellow Lanterns and trying to go about this the right way. It's evening out, but John has one final trick that when they built the Yellow Lantern, he put a green impurity in there. So now the yellows don't work on green. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
And so there's an override there, and she gets so mad. And Soranik's like, see, this is the stuff I was talking about. You never fully trusted us. This is why it can't work. And I was like, well, lady, you just kind of led an insurrection. Right? Like, of course. When you wield the power of fear.
At the same time, though, she kind of has a point. Like,
she has a point now, but she wouldn't have found out about it unless she had gotten all pissed off with Kyle. So.
Okay. I think she kind of has a point there. Like,
she does, but again, you forced John's hand, so he was like, well, yeah, I didn't tell you this, but there's a green impurity, so good luck trying to destroy us going forward, but. So it kind of forces them into an uneasy truce because they, if I feel like if they can overcome the greens can overcome fear, it'll work on yellow. I feel now this, I don't know how you overcome will though. I guess if you just give into the power of fear, you can, again, it's Venditti's half-baked idea. But we get to the very end and we see Quard, the old antimatter universe, and yeah,
I'm glad you specified what that was there because I wasn't going to.
You don't remember Quard? That's where where Sinestro got his original yellow ring from. They had built it for him.
Oh, right.
It's in the,
okay, yeah.
Yeah. And what's her name? Lissa Drac, the prophetess of the book of Sinestro, is there cradling a burned up Sinestro who's not actually dead.
Remember all the names that pop up in Green Lanterns quite a short at times, isn't it?
It is, but see again, it was one of my big fandoms, so I remember certain ones, like her. She had a cool look to her. She's also Shadow Lass. They come from the same planet. Shadow Lass is a Legion character, so it's easy for me to remember. But yeah, so Sinestro's not actually dead. Surprise, surprise. Or she's going to bring him back somehow, because his ring still works, it looks like. And we get a tease for the New Gods next. But yeah, so we have some new members of the Green Lantern Corps in the Sinestro members, and then we finally get to that other Zudarian that we had saw in the first issue I came back, where she was telling the story to her grandkids about her time as a Green Lantern. His ring, his final moment as a Green Lantern, he gets to direct the ring to Zudar. And then he goes to serve his sentence in a science cell for killing the other one.
Are the new Green Lantern members from Sinestro Corps, did they change colours? Do they have some sort of different... Oh, cool.
Nope, they're full-on Green Lantern. So you get Space Ape in a Green Lantern uniform. You get the dude with the eye patch, I don't know his name, but he can grow, make himself bigger and smaller. You have a guy that looks like a warlord with these big, huge shoulder pads. And then Tomar 2, I get all these names confused. His partner, that's like a living robot type guy, he joined too. So, but yeah, there's some nice members. They look a little bit scarier than normal, but they were Sinestro Corps members. It kind of goes, but yeah, they built the ranks. I liked most of the issue, but the Sinestro stuff, I'm out.
I really like the idea of some of them switching sides and becoming Green Lanterns. That's a cool idea. Some of the rest of it, I'm not particularly.
But see, I feel too like you could have had some Green Lantern members that are kind of like, well, no, I kind of get what Sinestros are about. Like, it would have been cool if a yellow ring came for Tomar 2. And then he has to struggle with his father's legacy, but does he join the yellow side or not? Like that'd be a fun little hinge.
It's funny actually. Connor was trying to convince me to catch up in this the other day. And I was like, I don't really feel like it. And then, like, hearing you talk about it again, it's like, it sounds like there's more that's going to annoy me than I'm going to enjoy.
See, there's been more like, yeah. See, I'm in for Gardner. What got me to come back was Guy Gardner for Starkillo, knocking the hell out of each other for an issue. And their whole bromance, I love.
Matt,
And that's still there.
You
The
realize
rest of it, though,
you realize that soon, maybe a couple of arcs down the line, there's going to be a time where they have to fight.
oh, I know. I feel when Sinestro takes power again, Arkill's going to become his lapdog, and Guy's going to be like, bro, this isn't you. And he's like, you don't know me. And then he gives him his tooth back, that he broke off and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, so it'll make sense down the line. I don't like it, though. And just, anything with Sinestro, I'm kind of out. I liked the way Johns had written Sinestro. Everyone else just feels like he's a mustache-twirling villain. And that's not who Sinestro is. Sinestro craves order, and that's why he does these things. And I felt like Venditti wrote him as a cackling madman.
Oh, there we go. As a Green Lantern here, Hal Jordan. And that'll take us on to, what are we on? Batman Beyond, number 10. Dan Jurgens writing and Bernard Chang on art. Once again, I feel like I feel like this book is enjoyable, but it doesn't bring like a whole lot of plot per issue.
Yeah, I think I might just wait this one out, and it might be on the drop list just for time, because I am enjoying it and I love this world, but this issue kind of jumped the shark for me because I liked where it was going, and I love having Terry, but just the Damian stuff was rough.
I feel like we're still. It's the same fight in the snow that we left on last issue. We're still there. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy Goliath appearing. That was a fun little tidbit in the fight.
He didn't kill Goliath, did he? He just choked him out. Because if Terry killed Goliath, I'm gonna be upset.
I think he's dead.
Don't know. Man.
He looked dead to me. I don't know.
He's the lasso dragon bat, so that means Terry just committed genocide.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that I enjoy this book, but if week 4 starts to get busier, it'll be an easy cut because it's separate. It's out of continuity, and it doesn't feel like it's part of the main line and all the rest of it. And this time next month we're going to start having those metal one shots like peeking into a lot of the weeks. So it might be more tempting to. I will say this: it's the last book I read on a week 4 always, and I'm never in a rush to get to Batman Beyond. It's always just kind of a nice little read at the end, and I still had fun reading it for the most part. Like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's the fact that there's other things I could be reading. Like I'm behind on some of my independents now.
Damien using Brother I thought was a weird and interesting choice. Like bringing that into it. Brother I, obviously, if you've not read, like Checkmate and Infinite Crisis and all that, Olmec Project, and all that build up. Brother I was a satellite system that Batman built. I
guess that had to do with everything that happened in between the books, and that's why Bruce Wayne had died. Quote was. So yeah, but here we find out that Damian left because he felt that Bruce's mission will never be complete because Bruce has too many rules. So he went and joined Roz and kind of almost what's the word I'm looking for? Not rebooted, but he cleaned up the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows, whatever one that. They were still about saving the world, but they weren't, murdering people to do it anymore. Not necessarily. But what pissed him off is seeing someone running around in the Batman suit that wasn't him.
Yeah, there's that, I think supposed to be touching moment where he comes back and he sees, like, Terry being treated like the son that he's supposed to be treated as. And it is fine. But
he should know Bruce does that. Like, he's got, 4 older brothers.
That is true. Yeah, it's not like a new weird thing for him. No. I felt like there wasn't a lot of advancement in the issue. I felt like we're still in the middle of the same fight that we started the issue on, and it didn't feel like enough stuff really moved. I enjoyed Goliath. I enjoyed a couple of things that they brought up, but it definitely isn't a book that I need to read. And I kind of was feeling that as I was kind of putting it off, and then like, oh okay, I'll read it, and it was fine. But I can see Batman Beyond getting dropped. Not because it's terrible by any means. There's definitely some fun stuff, but it's never been a priority read on a week 4. either in terms of like quality or like in terms of importance to what's going on, like in the sort of the overall universe kind of thing. And this arc kind of has been not bad, but it's been kind of steadily just kind of dipping with each issue.
Yeah, because it started off great. I liked it with Chiare and Terry kind of be like, yeah, it can wait.
Yeah,
and
that issue was good.
bad.
Yeah, and then like, but since they've revealed Damien, and that was a decent sort of cliffhanger, but since then it's felt a bit more. All this stuff where it's mostly been in the snow fighting, and then there's been some flashbacks to, like, you know, what happened with Damien in this continuity and stuff. It just, I don't know, it's felt a little bit slow.
Yeah,
but hey ho.
I agree.
So now we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if we get to it next month. I'm not feeling.
I'll finish this arc, I think, and then that'll be it for sure. Just because with Metal coming and everything else, like I'm gonna have a full plate.
Yeah, we're gonna have Metal with tie-ins. We're gonna have Doomsday Clock not long after that. So yeah, we're gonna have meaty.
And people who know me know I'm a completionist. Like I feel like I have to read, even if I don't, necessarily gonna keep going with stuff. Like I read everything that had to do with Justice League versus Suicide Squad. So
and Metal, because especially since like those, like the way they've spaced them out is like Metal's out on I think it's week 3 next month for the first issue, but then after that Metal's out on week 2, and then there's like tie-ins on every other week for the one shots, and I like that. It gives us a headlining book each week because we'll always start with the Metal tie-in. So yeah, so we'll be doing those. But anyway, so yeah, that's Batman Beyond. So yeah, it's okay. It's the definition of a fine, inoffensive book that's not doing anything particularly great. That is on our last book, which is Batman: The Shadow #4. Steve Orlando and Scott Snyder writing, and Riley Rossmo on art. Similar to Batman Beyond, I was kind of not putting this off because I was dreading it by any means. I just wasn't in a rush to get to it because, again, it didn't feel as important. That said, the difference between this and Batman Beyond is that once I actually read this, I was like, oh shit, this is good. Like, it was doing a lot of things that I was really impressed by. There's a moment early on. So Batman's fighting, he's went off to fight the Joker. Joker's got all his villains out. They kind of confirmed it's not in continuity because Clayface is part of the villains, which is the big tipping point for me. But he's fighting them off, and the Spirit, of course, broke free from Alfred at the end of the previous issue, and he's off to fight him. And there's a fantastic...
The Shadow, not the Spirit. Different pulp hero.
Did I say Spirit? Sorry.
Yeah, you said the Spirit, yeah. Will Eisner has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. So, but possibly my favourite moment in this issue, there's a lot of good moments in it, is the Joker starts laughing. There's this great page with all these panels. They're all wide panels going down the page, and it's all the laughter as he's laughing, and all the other villains are kind of smiling along with him. And then Joker eventually stops laughing, but the laughing's all still there. And he's like, wait, that's not me. And then next page, big 2-page spread of Shadow appearing and being like, I know. And it's like, oh man, that was an
entrance. I could hear the laughing too.
Yeah.
Like if it's a movie, I know how that scene plays out, and I appreciated that. I do, like, Snyder can write the Joker. I've never had an issue with it. So I wonder how much of that was him or Orlando. Because that feels very much like a Scott Snyder-ism.
Yeah, maybe. So a lot of this is the fight, but the fight is very fun. Like Batman telling Shadow not to kill, them kind of working together with all these villains all coming at them. Is a lot of fun stuff. It all boils down, though, to Batman actually pushing the Joker out of the way, even though the Joker's kind of like willing to kill Batman here finally, kind of in this sort of sideline continuity. And again, Joker's voice, like I could hear Mark Hamill as Joker said, "You do care." Like I could hear Mark Hamill saying that in my head. But doing that the Stag ends up getting Batman. He stabs him right in the chest, and Shadow's like there with him at the end, and he's like holding him. And the police do come and take out Stag and Joker, but Stag comes to get Joker in the hospital at the end. And it's like, yeah, we've got stuff to go do. But there's some good stuff though. Is Batman's passing out from the pain because Shadow's like trying to like patch him up, and he's like cauterizing the wound, and he's like, oh, this is going to hurt. He's like, if you had trained me, you knew that wouldn't matter. It's like, okay, that's a kind of a because Batman line, but it's a badass one. I'm accepting that. Favorite little moment, I was obviously the art's been really good in this series throughout. I really like the police all coming towards the scene of the crime. Like you have Montoya and what's his face from Gotham Central? I forget his name, but it's the guy who's always with her. And
Christmas Allen.
there you
He's
go.
the Spectre later.
Yeah, they're driving towards the scene of the crime, and then it's like Gordon, and Gordon brings up a story, and this is the weird thing. As much as it's out of continuity, they reference Nightfall, which is interesting. But he's like, "Oh, I got this phone call once, and the one time this phone ever rang, that this number rang on my phone, it was Batman got his back broke by a maniac. So that when that phone rang, I'm going, and then the last panel it's Alfred. Alfred's the one.
Yep.
You get the idea that Alfred makes this call to Gordon when he thinks Batman might be screwed.
Yep.
When he thinks he might not make it out, he makes the call. So no, it was funny because issue 3 was good, but not as good as 1 and 2. So I went into this one feeling a little bit, I'm not as excited, but then it ended up maybe being my favorite issue of the mini. Like,
yeah, so far it was nice seeing all of the Riley Rossmo art with all the villains too.
Yeah,
like there's Batman destroys Scarface for the ventriloquist. So that was a pretty cool looking scene. You feel the impact there. But yeah, it's a fun read. I like this. I'll probably pick this up in trade for later, just because, like, if someone wants to read a fun Batman story, I can give this one to them, because it's not playing like it plays in the Batman world, but it's not exactly the same, So it's kind of like a standalone. And then you see at the end, of course, they're going after the Shadows people now. That we haven't seen them since issue 1.
Yeah, the like the ex-wife or
Yep.
whoever she is. Yeah. So no, it's fun stuff, and it's a dark issue as well. Like you see, like when the Stag comes to get the Joker in the hospital at the end, the previous page, it's just all the security guards and some nurses all lying in the floor. It's like a massacre. He's went through and murdered people left and right. It is dark as shit. So it's good stuff. And again, a lot of good details, very good style, atmosphere. The one complaint, of course, that I've had the entire series with the art is Batman's stupidly short ears. But other than that, it's fantastically good-looking stuff. It's got a good atmosphere about it, which is nice. Yeah. But no, it's a really fun team. I feel like that laughing moment was it was one of those things where they just had that great idea. It's like, because the Shadow always laughs when they can't see him. That's like one of these things. And they thought, how can we play with that with the Joker? And it was just a really good moment of him appearing. So no, and then all the fighting was cool. So no, this has been a fun mini. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a shame they're doing a second one like immediately after this one finishes. I feel like no, give it a few months off. Like give us a break.
Yeah,
but
I agree there.
Hey, we'll see if the second one pans out as well, or if this sticks to landing. We've got 2 issues left. We'll see where it goes. But it's pretty good. So there we go. That's the books, which I guess will take us on to the best books of the week, the picks of the week. First, of course, we have to do the Patreons voting picks, because they get to vote on Patreon. They get to vote their favourite books of the week. Their best book, best art, best cover, and we announce the results each week. So obviously we're doing this for last week for the patrons for last week's books. It's a very easy one. Batman won best book, Batman won best cover, and Batman won best art. And I don't think you can fault them on last week. I mean, there was competition for the art, certainly. But I don't think you can fault them too much on that. Batman was spectacular on all fronts last week. So we'll get to ours. And as much as I told Connor, between pausing, that he had X amount of time to get us his picks of the week, he has not done it, seemingly.
Way to go.
So there we go. It looks like we don't have Connor's picks. But we do have ours, of course, so I guess we'll start as we always do with best panel of the week. Matt, do you have one at the ready?
I do, and it's more of a page. It's from The Flash. Of them fighting through time.
Okay.
Just because of all the little Easter eggs that I found through there. It's not the most impactful, even in that story. But again, just the Easter eggs there, I love.
That is that is a fair pick. I was conflicted on this particular choice this week, and I think I'm definitely going with something from Batgirl. I feel like there's a lot of good things. I do love Esme's shocked face when she finds out about Barbara telling Batgirl about who she is.
She knows me.
Yeah. That was really fun stuff. But I think I'm going to go with the photograph at the end, or towards the end,
It's a good one.
I think it's just because it's this nice capper on like, oh, they're out in this little adventure, but you can't tell anyone, so it's been a secret. It really feels like she had this little Goonie-esque adventure with Batgirl, and it's this capper on it, and it's this sweet thing with a dog that they've just went out their way to save. So I think I'm going to go with that. I dig it. I dig the art a lot in Batgirl. So yeah, so best cover of the week. In fact, I should probably look at those. I will mention, we don't do the variants on this choice, but I will say the variant for Batman Shadow was absolutely gorgeous, if you happen to see it. Really, really good stuff.
So I feel every time there's a Wonder Woman issue, because the Jenny version art, the covers, none of them have been bad. Not one.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. As for the actual best cover, though, picking... I think I'm going to go with The Flash, actually.
Okay.
Really simple. I feel like a lot of the other ones this week are very kind of messy. There's a lot of action scenes going on where they're all kind of fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas The Flash is more kind of, simple, bold, understand what it is, makes more of a point. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Nice.
That'd be you by default, Matt.
I know. I was waiting for the introduction, just so. But yeah, mine's gonna be Action Comics because, like you said, it seems messy, but I just love the look of all the characters in the green and the red.
It looks great. It does look good. I'm typically not a fan of chaos covers where there's just tons of things going on. But fair play. So best art of the week. What have you got?
I got Batgirl because, as you said, the expressions on Esme, on Babs, Selena.
Just to jump in and leech off your, I also picked Batgirl because I think it wins. Detective was close. I think Alvaro Martinez. Yeah. I feel like he's not won for any of these issues of this arc, but he's been close every time. But Batgirl takes the cake.
I even like Zircher's action. That one was what was close for me. Just you had a lot of the cool action shots, like the uppercut to space and Supergirl going after Zod. Some great moments there too. But yeah, it's just the emotion of the Batgirl issue, and that it's fun. Like there's some stakes, but it's not high stakes. So and the art matches that. Yeah,
the tone fits an adventure that a kid should be going on. Mm-hmm. It has exactly that kind of feel to it. So, very well suited art on top of being very expressive, which is great. So then, top 5 books of the week. Let's see what you've got, Matt.
Well, I got number 1 is Batgirl. We praised that one a lot thus far. Number 2 is going to be Action. Love that issue. 3 is Detective. And this is where I run into a little bit more trouble. I think 4 is Flash and 5's Teen Titans. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Flash and then Teen Titans.
All right, cool. Breaking news, Connor has just sent his top 5.
Up.
Talk about timing.
Guaranteed he doesn't have Batgirl number 1. I'm going to call that now.
His number 1 is Batgirl.
Oh, damn. I'm so wrong.
His number 1 is Batgirl. His number 2 is Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps.
Oh, Connor. Buddy.
Clearly, Matt's not agreeing with that. Number 3 is Wonder Woman. Number 4 is Action. And number 5 is Detective. So, that's just about. He's also mentioned his best cover is All-Star. He's sending it out of order. He's literally sending it live at the moment. I can just imagine him sitting at dinner with his mother and like trying to sneak in his...
What are you doing? Nothing?
Yeah. He also gave art to All-Star, but which obviously we didn't read, so we can't really comment on the what's going on. I can't believe
he's still reading it.
it's all, he likes it. It's not like he's been down on it. Like he's been praising it left and right. So
this guy.
My top 5. Not to be distracted by that ginger menace interrupting the show, even though he's not here. The absolute gall of that man. I went back and forth all week as to what my number 1 was. It was between 2 things. But after talking about it, I think I have to actually make this a unanimous pick and go with Batgirl. Yeah. So we got Batgirl and the unanimous pick. Action's number 2, Detective's number 3, And then I think Teen Titans is number 4, and number 5 I'm going to go Batman Shadow. So
That's fair enough.
That's my picks. That's my top 5s. So there you go. Flash would be higher, but a couple of issues with the character motivations or moments, and then the art being really sketchy, or what takes that off the 5. And obviously we talked about the other ones. So, but there you go. That's all of that. So before we do the speculation talk about Mr. Oz, just a couple of things. I want to reiterate the Patreon stuff from the start. New bonus thing for $5 patrons. Once a month, me and Connor. Sometimes Matt will jump in as well. Where we'll talk about a graphic novel or a trade. That will occasionally include new releases if one comes out. We're going to work through the Earth 1 books starting first. So you can check that out. The only caveat, because obviously nothing that should be on the main show will ever become like bonus to Patreon. This is trying to give people on Patreon a cool DC related bonus for supporting us. The only exception to like graphic novels, and obviously we'll do collections as well on that show, like legacy stuff, is if I don't think they've ever done this, but just in case they do, I'm going to set up the rule right now. If they ever release a graphic novel that's currently in continuity, it'll be on the main show because it's relevant to what we're talking about, even if it is a pain fitting it in. So that is the promise there. Like if it's in continuity, and it's a new thing. Like it'll be in the main show. If we're doing it, obviously we don't do every book because we don't like every book, but that's the rule. But yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate that in case anyone new was interested in that and checking that out. We'll be starting that in August, so you can look forward to that. And like I say, the vote for the Week 5 August book is up as well. Green Arrow Year 1, Kingdom Come, Dark Knight, A True Batman Story, and Batman Arkham Asylum, A Serious House and a Serious Earth. Good stuff all around. So we're not quite done yet. We have left one thing till last, so that we could do all the regular show and then talk about this. So if you want to jump out and you don't want to hear this Mr. Oz speculation, which we don't know is going to be accurate, it might be completely wrong, but I'm really kind of on board with this idea. I like it. So just in case you want to opt out, this is just speculation. It was it came from Reddit initially, and it's kind of spread a little bit, and we were both talking about it a little bit during the week, and I wanted to bring it up on the show because I think it's a really cool idea. So the idea here, what is the idea? So the speculation is that, obviously there's been a lot of theories about who Mr. Oz is. Obviously Ozymandias from Watchmen has been a big thing, big idea there, for obvious reasons. Another recent rumour that's been going around is that, or at least theory, is that it could be a Jor-El, maybe pre-crisis Jor-El is an option. Which
that one makes no sense to me. Like...
I've also heard some weird theories about it being a Jonathan Kent from somewhere, and that feels even weirder to me. Like, at least Jor-El, I buy that he's into all this, like, wizardry.
Science.
Yeah, and science and stuff. Whereas any version of Jonathan Kent feels kind of forced to me. It's like,
It does. And then, but see, that's when I get to this week's issue of Action, and the way that he's talking to Jonathan, it feels very paternal. Like it's not. So that's what made me. I was like, well, it's not Jor-El. That's weird. It's not Jonathan Kent, but this issue kind of opened that up to me a little bit. But they could just be messing with us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm not feeling Jonathan Kent. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm really not feeling that.
Yeah.
But a theory that's come out, and I really, really like this, is that Mr. Oz is the Superman. And you're going, what the hell does that mean? Because I actually fully buy that a lot of people have no idea what that is. The Superman is going way back. Now, this is part of why I think there's some credence to this, is that Jeff Johns loves to go back into the vaults of DC and do insane stuff. The Superman is the original version of Superman, and what I mean by that is it was Schuster and Siegel. Did this story called The Reign of the Superman, and it's two separate words, super then man.
Superman. It's based off of Nietzsche's Übermensch from philosophy.
Exactly, and this was a story of a villain. This was a story of a scientist named William Dunn, who gets it's actually telepathy. It's telepathic
Yeah.
powers that he gets, and he actually is evil. I've never read the story myself, but he's evil, and he eventually loses his powers though at the end, and he kind of realizes they made a mistake, and he wants to do other, he wants to redeem himself. So what? And this is not part of DC continuity. This was before Action Comics #1, right? This was like a set. This wasn't even DC. This was published as a newspaper, like strip or something like that. This was separate. This was 1933, but it was the initial idea that then morphed into Superman. And I like this idea for one. It's so batshit insane that I love it. That it's nothing that we ever predicted before now. Secondly, I love that it's going back to the furthest possible inception point you could go.
It's the beginning of DC Comics, literally.
It's not even the beginning. Like DC Comics wasn't even starting yet. This was the beginning of Superman before DC Comics really existed. That's
what I'm talking about.
This is the embryo.
Publisher.
This is the embryo before we even had a birth. This was like, you can't go further. The only way you could go further back is if you go meta and you're talking about a young Siegel and Schuster growing up. Like that is the only way you could go further back.
Well, and so that's what when they took this idea, they didn't like it because they felt like they wanted to tell a story about a hero, like a modern day Hercules that would use their power for good. Because I can't remember whose dad died, but one of their parents, either Siegel or Schuster, their dad was killed when they were younger. Okay. And it kind of jumps off, like Spider-Man kind of jumps off from that, is like, well, what if my dad was bulletproof? Like, what would have happened? And so they created the modern version of Superman. Well, not modern, but for that time.
Yeah, what became the modern version of Superman?
What would become Superman? He could jump, leap tall buildings, single bound, more powerful than locomotive, faster than a speeding bullet.
So, why do I like this so much, other than what I've said so far? I like that with the theme of rebirth and the whole, like, it's like the optimism and hope versus the darker world. The idea that Mr. Oz is someone who was a villain and then realised the error of his ways and wants to do something better. It explains why maybe he's helping so much. It does tie into why he has all these telepathic powers and can talk to people. Like, the fact that he's talking to John in action this week through telepathy. Like, that could be him. Like, I don't know. Like, it's adding kind of up. And there was a bunch of other. You know what? I'm going to try and get the Reddit post up and actually look at the other list.
So some of the so it also goes into what we saw in the new Superman, which Keenan Kong's book. Originally, that book was called The Superman. So we all thought that they were talking about Lex Luthor.
It was called that first in Rebirth. You're right.
And so and then you look at whoever the villain is, the inverse of Master I Ching. When we first saw that twist, it was, Fu Manchu, who is this horrible Asian pastiche from comics.
Which wasn't what it was called, but yeah, that's what you're calling him for the sake of...
Yeah, because he looks like the Fu Manchu of pulp stuff. But anyways, and then they changed his look, and he's dressed in all white, but that went back to an old Detective Comics story. The only thing that gained traction with me of that is, Johns was writing Superman, introduced Oz. Then Gene Yang took over Superman from Johns and was telling these stories about gods and mythologies and all of that. So I feel like this has been seeded there from the very beginning, and Yang's in on it a little bit. That's why that reveal came in the way that it did. So what'd you find?
So yeah, it was just simple things like the idea that we start at the beginning of everything, with the clock. Johns has said repeatedly this is all about Superman. So how further back can you go with Superman in that? There is the new cover for Action Comics. I don't know what number it is, but they revealed a cover for one of the Oz Effect issues, and you can see without the hood that he's bald.
Well, that's a spoiler. God damn it.
Right, so you're thinking, but anyone could have shaved their head, like, even if it is. No,
I know, but like once you start digging into the Superman, he is bald. He is proto Lex Luthor. You know.
And he was the other big thing, and I'll shout out the Reddit user here, Martin Cases, who posted this originally. I don't know if he was the first person to come up with this, but this is certainly where I found it.
He surmised it.
But yeah, so basically the idea that Mr. Oz exists outside of continuity. Kind of like the Superman does, because he's not part of any DC continuity. He predates all of it.
Right.
So the idea that he is outside and he's watched all these, like, he's watched Crisis happen, he's watched Flashpoint happen, he's watched all this stuff, and that's kind of an interesting idea.
And it plays into that John's idea of post Crisis on Infinite Earths. You had the best of the heroes: Alexander Luthor, Superboy Prime, Earth One, Lois and Clark, all watching the heroes from outside of time and not being able to do anything. So this takes that above. And he is interfering in stuff.
Exactly. It ties into that thing that we've seen DC do with these big Crisis events before. And on top of that, there's another one of the comments actually in this Reddit thread. A very interesting little tidbit. So this is coming from Nomadic Jaguar 64T. This user. I'm just giving him a shout out just in case.
Yeah.
So at the end of the arc where we first met Mr. Oz, issue 39 in the New 52 Superman, he is on the phone with a presumably poor woman. Mr. Oz promises her a hot meal awaits for her troubles. In the original, this seems to parallel Smalley's promise in Science Fiction number 3, where he promises a random homeless man a real meal in exchange for his help in his experiment. So I think that's from the original Superman. You know what I mean? This Superman story.
This Superman.
So that feels like a little reference there that could even be a clue. So I don't like. It's all these little clues are fine and all, but it's the broader ideas that I really like about this. Just what it means. The idea of going back to the inception of the character. Like before there was Superman, there was this Superman, and
right.
That would be insane stuff. Now this could be complete and utter nonsense. It could end up being Superboy Prime for all I know. Let's not get on that train again. But like I thought this was such a good idea. I thought it was worth talking about and just worth exploring the idea. But no, interesting stuff. I'm fascinated by it. Definitely.
It's the one thing that I can't wait to get through. I mean, as much as I'm looking forward to Metal and Doomsday Clock, this Oz mystery, it's been going.
And we are finding out in Oz Effect, so that's the arc starting in September. So we're not far away from it happening.
Nope.
So we can look forward to that. But that is us, guys. So that will wrap up the podcast for the week. Connor will be back next week. Let us know what you thought.
Sounds like a threat.
I know it does a bit. But you know what's? I don't know if he's actually going to do it next week. But next week marks the start of a new month of shows, which means he's got a Red Hood issue to look forward to. I believe, what was the last one I did? 8, so he's on 9, on issue 9, I think.
Yeah. So you know what he loves? He loves Red Hood.
He does love Red Hood. Look at his face there, and that representation on the video there. It's a Red Hood face because he loves Red Hood. So that's coming. So let us know what you thought of the books in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or you can do it on Patreon if you're on there, or you can get us on Twitter. In fact, actually, that's another announcement that I forgot to mention. We have a dedicated Comics from the Multiverse Twitter now.
What?
On top of the @mailed_fuzz, which will give you the when the episode goes out, you get a tweet about that, and that also tweets out about all the other stuff on the YouTube channel. And here I'm impressed we got this handle on Twitter. Our dedicated Comics from the Multiverse podcast Twitter is @DC Comics Podcast. How easy is that? @DC Comics Podcast. So we tweet out more stuff on there. Like, if those new covers come up, we'll tweet those out. We tweet out various things. And try to be a little bit more active on that with actual sort of interacting and just on pure. So if you just want comics, if you don't care about the rest of the content we do, you just like the podcast, you can just join that Twitter, follow that, and get stuff on there. I really should have mentioned that at the top of the show, so people all turned off for the Oz thing, and they've not heard the new Twitter. So I'll make a point of announcing it next week if I remember at the start of the show. But so check that out. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching, guys, or listening. Keep reading comics. Again, I've mentioned Patreon a lot, obviously, in this episode because I had stuff to announce. I don't want to drum it all home too hard, but patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to check that out. This is us. So thank you very much once again for watching and or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics. And always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.
Connor Kent's real. I've seen him.